Live? Oh, we're live. We're live, pal.
It says ready to go live, and I was like, I guess.
It was kind of anticlimactic because it wasn't showing up right away on my end. What's up, man?
I even like to wait a couple seconds because just about a month and a half ago, Ric Flair had his last match, and here on the DuFour brand YouTube, which we're also on Facebook and Twitch tonight. But specifically to the YouTube, we did a live watch along.
Yeah, and that's a match of the year candidate for sure.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it surprised a lot of people.
Oh yeah, in a lot of ways. That match was cool at first and then sad most of the time.
I'm glad that he's been very transparent about the match on all the interviews. He's like, I was dehydrated. I was a little drunk.
I was the shits. I think he wants to do another one last match to kind of like right the wrong. Because do you really think Ric Flair wants that to be his last match?
It was literally a week later, and he was doing a fucking angle with Carlos Colon in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Well, he actually said somebody offered him a bunch of money to do another match. He was like, guys, I literally did my last match like a week ago. Like, maybe let's wait a little bit.
They're like, we saw the buy rates because, dude, they probably got a good bit of buy rates for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Conrad was putting that together, right?
Yeah, I think that's the first time Conrad has tried to put together something.
His first event, his first time as a promoter. Good old Conrad.
Well, he's got what? He's got like a finance background, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he's got a mortgage company and all the podcasts, of course. He has a monopoly on wrestling podcasts, so
he's monetized every last thing that he's done. He does those wrestling conventions too.
And he's banging Ric Flair's daughter. I mean, you can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. the prettiest one of them all too.
Yeah, actually I don't even know what she looks like. I've never seen her, but
me neither.
I'll take your word for it though.
No, but you got to give it to Conrad though, because as far as podcasting goes, this dude is a natural, man, and it would be hard to kind of think of somebody else who could do all these shows and actually have them be decent.
Yeah, but one thing I have noticed about the Conrad podcast is that he's recently, or for a while, I guess now, has had other people stepping in for him to host the shows. So like, I don't know if that happens every week, but at least here and there when he's busy, somebody else.
I've never heard of him doing it even once. Who has him replace him?
I don't know the guy. Someone who seems like he's a radio personality. I don't know his name. I've never seen him, never heard of him, but he must work with Conrad in some way. I know he took over the Something to Wrestle With podcast at least a couple times that I saw, because I remember trying to tune in. I was going to watch the episode that week and I saw it wasn't Conrad. I'm like, well, I'm not watching this bullshit. I come for Conrad and for Bruce Pritchard, not for Bruce Pritchard and some other dude that I don't even know.
So I guess this guy, and by the way, if you're just now tuning in, we are just kind of chit-chatting right now. We are going to be heading into episode 1, season 2 at 7 p.m. on the hour. But as far as the changes go with the Travis DuFour show, we've decided that it may be in our best interest to kind of spice things up on season 2. So you're getting an after show, but you will also be getting a pre-show.
Yeah. And we've also decided to do the shows naked because we think that that's best for business.
We're not wearing pants, guys.
No, I'm not right now. And I don't plan to wear a shirt here in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
It's getting crazy up in here.
Shit, about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. So. Got a scotch and vodka over here. I'm ready to go.
Oh, man. I knew that you would, man. And just so everybody knows ahead of time, viewer discretion is advised for this episode. There, at times in this episode, there's going to be some heavy subject matter.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not for the kids, like the CB Rocker show was back in the Burnout Media days.
Yeah. Now, currently, I am a commentator for a wrestling company, and there was a dude who walked up to me, another one of the wrestlers. No, he's also the commissioner. I don't want to say his name just for privacy reasons, but he walked up to me with his son, his 9-year-old son, and he was like, "Oh, Travis does a podcast," and I was like, "Don't tell him that." because there's a lot of episodes, where
it gets a little dicey at times.
Yeah,
I guess you could say, but not all the time. Usually we keep it pretty, I don't know, pretty normal, pretty natural, nothing too crazy. But we cuss. I mean, I swear like a sailor. So I mean, that's just my thing. I mean, if you don't like swearing, it's probably ain't the podcast for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking like the Fear episode, a couple of my wrestling career episodes. I mean, I was talking about dudes doing heroin, stuff like that. I mean, it was, yeah. So listener discretion is advised. Hopefully we could just do 18 plus.
I'm down. So we're not talking about the last season until our show actually starts, right?
Now we could talk about it now.
I guess we can. Yeah, we can do we could do whatever the fuck we want to do, right? Who's telling us that we can't?
I'm like the boss, I think.
And unlike last season, we're doing. I don't know if you already mentioned it, so fuck me if you already did. But we're actually going to acknowledge the comments. We're going to take comments from the commoners. No, I'm just kidding. From the listeners, from the viewers. We're actually going to encourage them to interact with us and read their comments. Sometimes we'll display them if we think it's worthy enough, and reply on air and all that stuff. So that's different from last season a little bit.
Yeah, we do. We pay for this service that we use, and we will be displaying the comments if you feel, and especially tonight's episode, the Melanie Wells tribute. If you knew Melanie or anything like that, feel free to make your voice be known in the comments. You don't have to, if you just want to kind of sit back and listen. Hear me tell some personal stories about my friendship with Melanie. She was a very special person to me. If that's what you want to do, is just kind of sit back, grab some popcorn. No, I don't know if this is a popcorn episode.
I don't know. Sometimes, and no disrespect whatsoever, but a lot of people are very interested in the true crime aspect of this kind of stuff. So, like, I know me personally, I binge watch like a lot of those true crime shows, about murders and especially like serial killers and all kinds of stuff. I find it fascinating for whatever reason.
I remember telling you that we were going to be doing this episode. I gave you her name and all that, and you went straight to Google, and we were still chit-chatting and stuff, kind of planning for this episode. And I know that you were personally kind of shaken by what you were reading.
I wish, I mean, because you told me about it, and obviously that was tragic in and of itself. But then I started to like do some research and saw that it was specifically called the Farmville murders, and like this was an actual like big thing in the news. And it was a pretty shocking. So
yeah, I can't tell you how many. There's probably 100 podcasts about this, but this is different. This is very different because
you actually know the person.
She was one of my best friends.
Yeah, it's I can't imagine. Well, actually, I can imagine on some scale, and I won't say the name because I don't know if I have permission to. But I know somebody, close family friend. We grew up with him, and he was unfortunately murdered by two guys. And I recently just saw a news article that the guys finally were sentenced, and I found out that those guys had also killed 5 other people after him. So they killed a bunch of people apparently for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate. It was shocking. It's years later. It happened in 2018 and it still doesn't feel real.
Now now we got 1 minute before we start the show, but real quick, was it random people or was this
It wasn't random. Unfortunately, he was caught up in the drug scene selling drugs, and I guess he owed some guys money and they came to collect. He didn't have it or something. That's all I know, and it turned ugly really fast.
Yeah.
So,
if you already have some kind of mental disorder, bipolar, you name it, if you add drugs to the mix, I think that it's kind of in our DNA. If you look at the history of people killing other people.
Yeah, it's been happening since the biblical days. I mean, it's since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a sad part of humanity, but 'tis what it is.
Okay, Mike. So it looks like it is 7 o'clock. Go ahead and roll the intro. And guys, once the intro is playing, after the intro will be episode 1, season 2. Thank you guys so much for coming. And here we go. Welcome in, one and all. This is Travis DuFour, and you are listening to the Travis DuFour Show, Season 2 premiere, Episode 1. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join myself and my co-host, Mike Yatsco.
You dig it, Daddy!
Yes, and we are here for, Season 2, man. I
Yeah.
cannot believe that we've... Season 1 was 8, 9, 10 episodes. Season 2 is gearing up to be a number of episodes, and we are starting off hot, I would say, with a tribute to one of my best friends, Melanie Wells.
Yeah. Season 1 kind of got away from us because we weren't really sure how many episodes we were going to do. And I don't even know if we officially put like a bow on Season 1. We didn't actually, I don't think. But Season 2 is here. I'm excited. We got a whole bunch of stuff planned. And this episode in particular, I've been looking forward to just because of just how interesting the story is. And you knew somebody very well that's involved in this. So, yeah, it's a depressing story to say the least when I was reading about it a while back. But here we are, and we're going to give it its due.
Yeah. It's important for me doing this podcast, the Travis DuFour Show. I got my name on it. We got very personal about my childhood, how I grew up, and my wrestling career, and everything in Season 1. And in Season 2, I'd like to show you some more sides of myself. Today, we're going to be talking about Melanie Wells. I've also got, a number of guests lined up as well.
This season's going to be fun. We're actually going to have some interviews and stuff. Like, get to talk to some other people. We're going to be talking to our buddy Glenn from the Burnout Media days for that Burnout Media episode at some point in the season. So kind of we're switching it up a little bit. We also got the interaction with the viewers and the listeners. So if you want to send in your comments, we will actually acknowledge and read them on air and reply to them. And we welcome those. That'll be a lot of fun. So if you have any questions on this episode specifically, we would love to.
Yeah, feel free. We've got our eyes on the chat. So Season 2, here we go. Let me ask you this, Mike, just right out the gate. Do you have who is your best friend?
My best friend, you want his name specifically? His name is Adam. And I've known him ever since fourth grade, probably third or fourth grade.
And what is it about you guys? You guys just have very similar personalities, or?
Well, we're very different in a lot of ways. Like, he's like, I would describe a very macho type of guy, like a man's man type of dude. And I'm more, I'm less like that, but we share a sense of like a dark sense of humor. We have a similar dark sense of humor, and we find common ground in that. We used to like wrestling back in the days, but now he doesn't like it. And I still kind of like it and still watch it here and there. So we got a lot in common, but also a lot we don't either. And we remind each other of that all the time. But we've never been the friends to really fight too much or anything like that. Very little of that, very little arguments over the years, and somebody that I could pretty much depend on to always be there, through thick and thin. If I'm ever having a bad day or whatever, or vice versa, he'd be the first person I would message.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that checks all the boxes for a best friend. You're very lucky to have somebody like Adam.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Melanie Wells, I met her about 3 years before all of this happened. About 3 years before she ended up passing away, if you will.
Can you put a year on this? What year would that have been that you met her?
The year that I met her, probably like 2006, 2007, something like that. The Farmville murders, essentially, if anybody doesn't know what that is and what it's all about, you can give it a Google yourself. I said it in the previews that I don't really want to talk about like what happened and the course of the days that went by and all that. Today I'm going to be telling a couple personal stories about Melanie, and to just kind of kick things off as far as that goes. And we're also not going to be mentioning the piece of shit's name that is the cause of why she died.
Yeah. He doesn't deserve it.
To just kind of put it into perspective for people, she was brutally murdered. And just to kind of give a little bit of insight on her, She had a very, very dark sense of humor, and so did I. If I could put it into words, she was like the female version of me.
If you can imagine.
Just just hilarious.
Yeah.
Just quick wit. She always had something funny to say. And that's why right out the gate, whenever I met her, we just clicked. One of my best friends, Joey Landis, he got a hold of me. This is back, I was 18 years old. He got a hold of me, and I was hanging out with this cat all the time since I was like 14. And I knew I was going to be staying at his house that weekend. And he hit me up and was like, hey, if it's cool with you, I have a friend from school who's also going to be staying the weekend with us. And I was like, oh, okay. Who's this dude? And he was like, actually, it's a girl, and her name's Melanie. I was like, okay, whatever. And yeah,
You were cool with that?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I went over to Landis's house. Plus, to kind of paint a better picture of myself as a teenager, I was never a ladies' man. I never had like any girlfriends or anything like that when I was like 14, 15, 16, 17.
Oh, I could relate there. I was not what you would say the ladies' man.
Well, I feel like a lot of people can't relate to that. Like I always saw people hooking up whenever I was a kid, but I was like kind of like what is it? The ugly duckling? Like
that, I feel like that was me too.
Better looking when I got older.
You know how I mentioned Adam, my best buddy or whatever? He was that guy that could get any girl. He would look at a girl and be like, I want her. And then he would get her. Like, I'd be like, fuck you. Like, how do you do that? And so it was not always fun to go out like drinking with him because he would just see like the hottest girl at the bar and decide he was going to take her home, and then he would. So,
man,
I don't know. I wish I had that ability. Of course, I was always out of shape too. I'm sure that played into it. But like, I'm sure if I had the confidence and was like, because if you have confidence, that takes you over the top. If you're confident, you can walk up to somebody and you got that charisma. But that was not me.
You know, it may be hard to believe for some people who've known me for like maybe 10 years. But whenever I was a teenager, I had like no self-confidence, like none.
Yeah.
I was just like you, man. Like if I was at a party and somebody was like, hey, fucking that girl over there single, why don't you go talk to her? And like, no.
Story of my life. You're preaching to the choir. There was one time when a girl at a bar, and this is sidetracking with a small story. There was one time at a bar where this girl was clearly, she kept looking at me. She was smiling, trying to show interest. And then literally when I was leaving the bar, like when they had called, last call and everyone was leaving, she was out there with her friends and she put her foot out or her leg out to kind of like get in my way from me walking so that I would have to stop. And instead of me stopping to like, acknowledge her and talk to her, I just stepped right over her and kept walking. So like that was me back in the day.
You're like, excuse me, you might want to watch where you're fucking standing.
Excuse me, watch where you're. Yeah, exactly. Move your damn leg, woman.
Dude, that could have been your wife, man.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, she was hot too. Damn.
But so whenever Melanie came over to Landis's house, I got a sense of who she was like immediately. She was happy-go-lucky, didn't take anything serious. Anything I would say, she would giggle at. Anything Landis would say, she would giggle at. Things of that nature. But
did you guys click right away when you met, or
immediately? Yeah. We had similar like I don't know. Well, she was like a goth chick. She was like a total goth chick. I would wear all black all the time too, Slipknot shirts and shit like that. And it was just birds of a feather whenever I met her. She would wear like those Hot Topic like trip pants too. You ever seen those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Those were fucking expensive.
I got a few.
Did you?
Yeah, I have a few in my closet. Yeah.
Today?
Yeah, I always got a pair.
I was about to say, ready. I think because that trend went out like 10 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm not very trendy, so it makes sense.
Continue but it's funny. So we got to talking, getting to know each other and stuff. And Landis was like, tonight we're gonna try to pierce her lip. I'm gonna pierce her lip for her.
Oh, very wise.
Have you ever helped with something like that?
No, and don't want to. I'm very squeamish. So like anything where there's a potential for there to be blood, no, thank you.
Well, I guess I don't know. Like, I'm not the wildest guy in the world, but this is something me and my friends would do. And so the way we were gonna do it was Melanie was like, "Okay, well, fucking, like, I'm kind of scared. So why doesn't Travis hold my lip?" So I just with both hands, I just
Did you
grabbed her
wash your
bottom lip.
hands first? I hope you washed your hands first.
No, we just
All
went
the
for it, man.
bacteria and potential for infection. What the fuck?
This was totally like a situation, and I even was thinking about this whenever it was happening. I was like, "This, I don't think this is a good idea. I would never personally do this, but if this girl, like, she's kind of crazy."
Yeah, aren't you supposed to go like to a professional for these types of things?
100%. And that's a
Yeah,
disclaimer for anybody listening to this episode. If you want a piercing, go to a fucking professional,
yeah.
please.
Don't try this at home.
But the only thing I really remember about this is that I was like holding her lip and she was drooling all over my fingers.
This sounds like the start of a porno.
I was
like,
so grossed out. Like,
okay.
I was so grossed out, and like I kept like making comments about how she was like drooling on my hands and shit, and she was just, it was a really funny occasion. She was laughing, and it was a good way to start our friendship.
Yeah, good icebreaker. How did that piercing go? Did it work out?
We Joey Landis, the third friend in the group, he kind of took the needle and just he couldn't like pierce it through her lip, and she was
he like struggling?
Yeah. And I don't believe, if memory serves me correctly, we did not successfully pierce her lip that night.
Yeah, just broke some skin probably and caused some bleeding and potentially an infection.
There was drool everywhere, a little bit of blood, and that's how you make friends in 2006.
Wow. Good times.
Yeah. But see, it was very interesting though, man, because it's like she was, she was very pretty, but I just didn't. I had pretty friends. Like,
yeah. No, we didn't know each other then, so no.
No, we did. We did.
Oh, we did.
Me and you had just met as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you throw me in that category.
No, it's like it's just so weird because it's like you meet like weird alpha male dudes who like can't be friends with like pretty girls because they're like, oh, I just want to fucking, like, I don't know how.
Again, that was my buddy Adam. He couldn't be friends with her. He just had to screw him. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
More power to him. If that's your gift that God has given you, go ahead and you use it. But
plenty of guys out there like that. I wasn't that kind of guy though. I had like a lot of really close girl friends growing up.
Yeah.
So
I'd be the kind that would always befriend them as well.
Yeah. But she topped the cake though. She was honestly one of my best friends.
So you guys like started talking a lot, like from that point on when you met her and everything. It was just started hanging out, talking quite frequently.
This was the age where like social media wasn't around just yet. It was kind of just starting for a lot of people. Now, were you the kind of guy who would talk on the phone a lot with your friends?
I think no, I was not. Because remember when you and I first met, and you were just like, "Hey, why don't we talk on the phone?" I'm just like, "I'm cool talking on AIM. We're doing fine talking on AIM." You're like, "Well, yeah, but we can get more things done faster, like on the phone." I'm like, "Okay." I mean,
dude,
yeah, I still to this day am not a phone person. I hate the phone. Don't call me. Do not call me, people. I hate it.
I think if somebody even called me today, I would just fucking find a seat. Actually, I'm a pacer. I would walk to and from my home and just chat. And that dude, and I'm telling you right now, as a kid, even as a teenager, that was one of my favorite things because I fucking loved my friends and I would be on the phone all the time.
You know what I was so down with as an introvert when AIM was around, AOL and all that stuff. I loved AIM. And that was still probably that time period. AIM was still a thing at that point.
Oh, it was booming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to just kind of comment on that real quick about me and you, I met Mike in an AOL chat room.
That's true. Yeah.
It was like an AOL wrestling chat room. I think for some reason, I feel like you were recruiting people to just work on your wrestling website.
Yeah, I had like a pro wrestling. It was actually called Pro Wrestling Inside News, PWI.
Very creative.
I think. Yeah, it was the most basic name you can come up with, but it's what I had. And yeah, I was recruiting like columnists and writers and things like that.
Yeah. And I think I was probably the one who kind of had the idea about doing a radio show. And I was like, well, I need to get this guy on the phone so I can hear what he fucking sounds like.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered that. Oh, somebody asked what were the screen names? What was your screen name?
Yeah. So my screen name was X-rated LP.
Oh, X-rated LP. What's the LP? Are you allowed to say?
Go ahead and guess, man. LP. What do you think? X-rated LP.
LP. I don't want to guess. I don't know. My mind goes to the gutter. What were you going for there? LP.
So
Lanny Poffo?
What?
Lanny Poffo. Hey, that's a good guess. That's a good guess.
No, a lot of people, my friends at the time, they would make fun of me and they would say that it stood for little penis.
Jesus.
That's what they would say. But
and that's exactly what it stood for, isn't it?
No. I've loved music, man. Loved music ever since I was a little boy. And LP stood for Linkin Park.
Oh, Linkin Park. Okay. Mine was my backyard wrestler name. So mine was Mike Toxic 781, and 781 was like my physical address at that point, the numbers of my address, which wasn't very smart now that I think back on it, but
well, Jesus. Yeah, yeah.
So somebody like looked me up and they're like, oh, I already got the digits of his address. But yeah, Mike Toxic 781. I had many screen names, so I'm sure you did too, but I had like a bunch that I'd log into depending on what I was doing, like, for my website or whatever.
Now, whenever AOL first started, well, I don't know if this is whenever it first started, but whenever my family got it in like 1999, 2000, my first screen name I ever had was Lego Champ 414040. And the numbers was my lunch number in middle school.
You had a lunch number?
Yeah, dude.
I wonder if we had lunch numbers. I just don't remember.
But Lego Champ, like, kind of tells my age.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that sounds cool though, I gotta say.
I was like 12 or 13 years old whenever I got my first screen name. And that was back whenever AOL would you could have like 3 different tiers. Like there was the adult, you could go on any website, wherever you wanted. There was teen, and then there was kids. And I had a kids screen name. You couldn't do shit on that.
No, you couldn't do nothing on that. But so I think, I don't know if I think I lied and said I was older than I was just so I can get access to the better ones.
My brother's only like 2-3 years older than me. And my mom made him an adult account. And I was like, he's like 14, 15. He doesn't need an adult account, but they always said he was more fucking mature. So
I'm sure he wasn't.
No, yeah, he showed me a lot of shit I shouldn't have seen. But anyway,
your mom was wrong. But anyway, let's get back down to brass tacks.
Yeah. Okay, so man, Melanie had AIM, but I don't remember her fucking screen name. But yeah, I would talk to her all the time on AIM as well. But moving on, one story I got here is just like a couple weeks, maybe a couple months after we had first met, we were hanging out all the time. Anytime I saw Landis, Melanie was usually with him. And they weren't romantically involved with each other either.
That's so funny that you said that. I was literally about to ask that question because you said that. And I was like, well, were they a thing at that time or anything? Or
yeah, and it's odd to me because it's like her parents and Landis's mom, because he comes from a divorced family. He lived with his mom. They were both like, okay, yeah, she's staying the night, like 2 nights in a row. And you guys aren't dating? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, they thought that was weird.
No, they never did.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
I think that's weird. Like
I invited a girl over once, and I was shocked at my grandparents. It was at my grandparents' house. I was surprised my grandparents didn't think anything was going on. but they just thought I was just like this innocent, he must be just, it's a sleepover for between friends,
He's showing her his computer.
and I was showing her some stuff, yeah, but not the computer.
Oh man. No, I have a daughter now. She's 4 years old, almost 5. And if she fucking came to me at 14, 15 years old, actually, I think Melanie might have even been older. She might, yeah, like 15, 16. And if she was like, yeah, I'm going to stay over at my friend's house, it's a dude, I'd be like, no.
Absolutely not. If I had a daughter and even 17 years old, no. Until you're 18 and you're out of the house, no.
I mean, you're like the same age as me. Were times different back then?
I don't know. Maybe people were just more naive or something. I mean, they couldn't have been naive. They had to have known what was going on. Like, who just innocently goes over for sleepovers, like that? I mean,
well, one thing about Melanie's parents is that they didn't hold like a tight leash on her at all. If she wanted
most
to go,
parents didn't really. I mean, then. I mean, I remember my mom would let me go out, like me and my brothers, we would go out the start of the morning or start of the day. We wouldn't be back till dinner, and she didn't have a clue. With no cell phones then, so she had no clue where the fuck we were at that point, riding our bikes to God knows where.
I was rarely home as a teenager.
Yeah. But could you imagine that now? Like, could you imagine your daughter just disappearing for the whole day? Like, oh, see you, Dad, goes on her bike and just gone for 8 hours. Like, could you even imagine that?
I want to. Well, see, hopefully I like know her friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Which Melanie's parents, I've actually stayed over at Melanie's house like a couple times. And I'll tell you this story. So the first time I ever went over to Melanie's parents, like where she lived, first time ever, I walked into the front door, and I think there was like 2 other of my friends that were with me, but I was like meeting her parents, and I wanted to make like a good impression. I wanted them to know that I was one of Melanie's friends and that we're just friends. And I don't know, it's just a fucking dumb kid. And I took my shoe off on the end of my foot. She had this big living room. And I took my shoes off when we walked in, and I put it on the end of my foot, and I like flicked my foot up, and my shoe went flying across the living room, smashed like this clock, and it falls off the wall, glasses all over the floor.
Oh no. Were they pissed?
I haven't even met them yet. And I hear
this is their first impression of you.
Her mom or her dad goes, "What the fuck was that?" And I looked over at Melanie, and I was like, "Melanie, tell them that you did that." Like,
oh my God.
Like, I'm
You're
sorry
to do that to your friend.
Fuck that. I would totally do that for her. Like, if my mom came rushing out, I was like, "What was that?" I was like, fucking sorry, Mom. I just broke something. Sorry. That was me. But I was like, "Oh, don't fucking tell them that it was me." And I think it was her dad. Her dad came into the living room like, fucking like, "What the fuck is going on out here?" She looks at him dead in his face. She was like, "Travis just took his shoe off, and it flew across the room and smashed that clock over there."
So she was not protecting you one bit. She was throwing you under the bus completely.
Well, he didn't care. He was super chill.
Really?
Super chill. Like, his
Would
dad...
he have been more mad if she had done it? Maybe.
Well, no. Well, I don't know. Like, he just seemed like a really chill fucking dude, man. Like, he kind of seemed like he like smoked pot on the side or something like that. He just seemed like a cool dad.
Oh yeah, he was definitely cool.
But that was how I met her dad. And I don't even know I think her mom didn't even leave the room. I don't know if I ever met her mom. I know I met her dad a couple times, but her dad ended up walking up to me, shook my hand, and asked me what my name was and all that shit. But he was really chill.
And did they think that you guys were just friends? Did he ever ask, or did he ever care?
I don't think they gave a shit. I think that they kind of grew up, because there's some parents who grew up in like the 70s and the 80s, and like those were fucking wild times, and they were probably just chill parents.
Yeah. Well, pot will do that to you.
Now her mom, this was the beginning of like cell phones and stuff too. Melanie had a cell phone, and in contact with her mom all the time, like to make sure.
Was it a razor? Like one of those razors?
Yeah, like a razor.
Razors were really popular then.
But she was the kind of kid who was staying in touch with her parents.
Yeah.
Which is a sign of a good kid.
Yeah, for sure. So she had respect for her family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now off on her own, there was a time where me and Melanie and Landis, Landis is going to be in a couple of these stories. We were at my mom's this time, and we weren't trying to stay all cooped up inside the house. We lived in a trailer park, and so we started walking the trailer park, and there was some woods next to the trailer park, and we started venturing off into the woods, and we got like pretty deep into the woods, and it was kind of starting to get later. And Melanie and Landis, I don't remember which one, they just pulled out a bowl and some weed.
Did you partake?
I did.
Was that your first time, or had you done it before?
No, I think I'd smoked weed for the first time like a couple months, not very long before this. And we just kind of passed off the bowl to each other and got pretty nice and stoned out there in the woods. And before you know it, the sun went down.
And you guys were in the woods, you said?
Yeah, we were in the woods. And
I don't know if I would never. See, like I'm afraid of the dark. So, and you know what? I'm not even ashamed to admit it. To this day, I still don't like the dark. Like you'd have to pay me a lot of money to go to the middle of the woods in the dark. A lot of money. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I don't like that. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I like well-lit areas.
Well, see, you would have fucking hated this because like we were all stoned and shit, and I'd never went into these woods before, and we were like pretty deep into the woods. And then like
I get paranoid too. Yeah. When I smoke.
Yeah.
So if I was smoking with you guys, I'd be paranoid as fuck. Just like, oh, what was that?
I would have loved to have you around at this time.
Dude, it would have been fun. It would have been fun and not fun at the same time for me.
Well, by the time that the sun, like we totally miscalculated time, like time flew, and it like got dark, and we started walking back through the woods to try to get back to the trailer park. And I remember walking through so many sticker bushes.
Sticker bushes? What's
just getting fucking cut up, thorns.
Oh yeah. That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah. But so come on, man. You've never gotten really stoned in a weird place and then had to try to figure out your way home?
Actually, no. I've always smoked in places because I know that I am naturally a very paranoid person. And they say people who are paranoid shouldn't smoke pot and whatever. I don't care. But I didn't even try weed until I was like 18 or 19. Like it took me a while to like get into that and try it. Well, not that I ever got into it, but it took me a while to try it. And it wasn't until like later in my mid-20s when I moved out to Cali, LA specifically, that and when it was completely legal, I was like, well, it's completely legal. I mean, well, who am I to say no? Like,
I think I was 18 years old as well.
But I was never like I would never go and do that in the woods. I was always with friends. I was always with somebody, especially in the beginning. Like now I could do it alone. But like if I was in the beginning, like I would always be around someone at someone's house, backyard. The backyard would be like the worst thing. That would be as strange of a place as it got.
Wow.
So what was your strangest place then? Would be the woods in the middle?
Strangest place I've ever smoked some weed?
Yeah, I'm curious now.
I don't know what you would even consider strange. Like, I don't know, man. Like, one thing I used to really not like, whenever I was like young, I couldn't really handle my weed that well. Like I would just fucking laugh and laugh and laugh. Like, and I would just kind of like go into this zone where I would just kind of wander, not knowing really like what I was doing, 'cause I get so fucking high. And anytime I was in like a Walmart, I hated it because I would just make eye contact with a random stranger and start laughing.
Jesus. That would, speaking of that, I might as well real quick, side note on my first time smoking pot. I was with some friends and I was fine there for the most part because we were just hanging out. So I smoked, we were chit chatting. And like towards the end, like after several hits, because they just kept passing it around. And this is my first time. So I should have like taken a couple hits and stopped. But at this point, I've taken like 8, however many hits, and I'm feeling it bad. And I just remember standing up and saying, I have to go home. And there's like, you mean like right now? I'm like, yeah, I have to go home. And I just say, I got to go. I was starting to feel really paranoid. Like I was feeling like my heart was palpitating so much, like it was beating so hard. I felt like I was about to have a heart attack. And I was convincing myself that I was about to have a heart attack. I swear to God, this is true. What I'm about to say is true. Please don't laugh. Well, you're going to, whatever. What I'm about to say is true. I get in the car. I go home. I have a suit because most people have a suit for like, funerals and that kind of stuff. I put on my suit and I lay in bed with my hands crossed like this because I am convinced I am going to die. And so I wanted to make it easy on everyone by being in a suit. That way they could just bury me as is. Like they don't have to change me or anything. I'm already in my suit. And so I cross my hands and I'm just expecting to die at any point. Eventually, obviously, I just pass out or whatever. But I remember for the longest time, I was afraid to tell anybody that story because I was just so embarrassed. Only like a handful of people actually know that. So
that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought I was dead. Like, and I was so paranoid. That's why you shouldn't smoke pot if you're paranoid. You really shouldn't. But yeah, that was my first time.
My first time I ever got stoned was with a couple of my friends. Melanie wasn't there, but I think I knew her. But I got into a fucking heated argument, like a verbal fucking argument where it was going to get physical.
Damn.
With a house plant a
house plant. And I can't really see you. Do you get angry a lot? Are you an angry person?
Well, like in recent years, yeah, sure. But whenever I was younger, no, never.
Yeah, well, life kind of fucks with us and then makes us do crazy shit. But yeah.
Yeah. If you go through too many bad times, you might get a little pissed from time to time.
But from time to time.
Okay, so let's take a look at the cheat sheet here. There's a couple funny things that's happened. One thing that she knew that I did on the side was like podcasting. I had radio shows before I knew you. But I guess this is after I met you. I had a wrestling show called The Wrestling Burnout. And now did I start that show with you?
I don't remember it that way. I remember in my memory that you already had some type of a show. And then I asked you to bring that show to Burnout Radio or whatever the fuck I was calling my station or my site at that time. I think you actually came to it was Pro Wrestling Inside News or Access or whatever the fuck it was called. And you came to that site first. And then we ended up changing the name to like Burnout Radio.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Because at one point, because Melanie would see like my MySpace and stuff. She was like, "Hey, that fucking radio show that you do seems fun." And I was like, "Oh, you think so?" Like we were like talking on the phone one night because I'm telling you, I talk to my friends on the phone all the time. We were talking on the phone one night, and she was like, I could probably do it. And I was like, "Melanie, I didn't fucking realize you watch wrestling. That's amazing." She didn't follow wrestling at all.
So she just wanted to be on a show.
We were just fucking friends, like best friends. We were constantly talking and she just wanted involved because it was my show.
In your memory, did she have a voice for radio? Could she have done it long term if she wanted to or no?
Horrible
voice. Wow.
Yeah. Like if we were just chit-chatting, if it was just me and her, we're not live somewhere, we're not broadcasting. Yeah, she's great. She's witty. She's on her toes. But once I I'm like, all right, Melanie, we're fucking going live.
We're live.
10, 9. She didn't like that.
Yeah. Well, some people are like that. And even me to an extent where like they can be totally normal and natural and talk and it's great and they sound normal. But then, that red light goes on and they're like, oh shit. like
yeah.
It's like they start panicking internally.
I don't know how well she would have done like in front of like crowds and stuff like that. Like if you were to be like, hey, we need somebody to do a fucking public speaking situation. Melanie was not the fucking one.
Yeah. And even now I struggle with that. I always feel like I'm supposed to act a certain way out. You've seen Anchorman, I'm sure, where he's just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like he's just like,
yeah. That was Ricky Bobby.
Was it Ricky Bobby? That's not Anchorman then. Wow. Well, how fucking stupid am I? Got my movies mixed up, but you're right. There was
I'm not a movie guy. That's interesting.
I love Talladega Nights. That's a good movie too.
That's it, Talladega Nights. But what were we just talking about? Oh, Melanie.
We're talking about
Yeah,
the radio. We're talking about the wrestling burnout, and she had an slight interest in maybe doing a show, but she didn't watch wrestling.
yeah, I would say that whenever we were around like other people, she was a very like kind of quiet, little reserved, quiet goth chick. But anytime that we were it was just me and her, her and Landis, or somebody that she really trusted and that she really liked, you couldn't get her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so you would say like she's a totally different person with you then? With you guys?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I would see her around like others. Like she was kind of the same with anybody that she was close with. Very
Makes
outgoing.
sense.
Yeah.
But then she'd be reserved in other situations.
Yeah, and dude, and she would do really weird shit. Like we would go to McDonald's and she'd be like, "Yeah, can I get extra pickles on my cheeseburger?"
Extra pickles.
Extra pickles.
You remove the pickles. You don't add more pickles.
That's what she'd fucking do. We'd go back to the table to sit, and she'd take each fucking pickle off. I was like, "Why'd you do that?"
Huh? Man, that is odd.
Well, and she would just say, "Well, it's just something to talk about." I'm like, "Okay,
it's something to talk about."
I was like, "You're so fucking weird," and I love it.
I would always do. Speaking of pickles, this is a random stupid story, but my fiance hates pickles, so she'll always say, "Well, order me a cheeseburger without pickles." I don't like to go to the drive-throughs and order special shit like custom orders. I don't like to have to remove stuff because, like in my head, I feel like they're just going to take the burger out back and go, like add a little lubricant to the patty or whatever. And so I don't ask for nothing special. I'm very polite. Thank you, ma'am. Please, yes, sir, no, sir. And take the order exactly as is. So every time she's like, "Oh, can you get me a burger without pickles?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure, babe." I'll go there and order the burger and not say that. And then she'll be like, "Oh, the pickles are on here." I'm like, "Oh, they must have forgot."
I thought you were going to say you physically handled her fucking cheeseburger, took the pickles off yourself.
Fuck no. Fuck no. She doesn't want to eat pickles. Like she wants to be special. You take the damn pickles off yourself. I'm not
Dude, that's one thing that me and you are very different about. I love to custom order shit.
Have you ever worked in fast food?
Yeah.
Well, then you can speak from experience. Has anybody ever fucked with food that you saw?
I worked at a Dunkin' Donuts. Like that's one of the most.
Who's fucking on? Yeah, who's fucking with donuts at a Dunkin' Donuts?
Can I get fucking mocha caramel? Can I get fucking 3 sugars, 2 Splendid?
Oh well, that's like a coffee place is like you do custom shit there. That's expected.
Well, I could have really done without that job.
But it would be weird if they had said like, "Oh, can I get a donut with no icing but still put the sprinkles on?" Like, I mean, you'd be like, "Fuck you! You're getting the donut as is." Like,
yeah, no, then I'm dropping it on the ground. Yeah,
exactly. See, and that's exactly why I didn't custom order stuff. But yeah, so she was. But let's get back to her interest in radio.
Yeah, no, so that was it. I think that she did like 1 episode with me, and because she was so quiet for the whole episode, I just told her, I was like, "Hey, yeah, maybe we won't do that again."
And you're sure that it was only the 1 episode? Because I could be remembering somebody else, but I have a memory of her like calling in to some episodes of the Wrestling Burnout here and there, and it wasn't often. I think it might have been only a handful of times. But I have a memory of that. Am I remembering it wrong?
No, I think you're right, because I wanted to have like some kind of a facade that people actually listen to that fucking show, which nobody ever did. Like if we had like a star on, like a DDP or a Candice Michelle or something like that, people would tune in, just a couple. But if it was just a plain Jane episode, today we're talking about this, the breaking news. Yeah, we didn't have like a listenership, so I would tell her, "Hey, so it kind of seems like people give a shit about this show. Why don't you call in? Just ask something."
Make it seem like it was popular and all that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I remember doing that. They're like, "Who can we get to call in this time? This show?"
Yeah. So right here, something really special about our friendship, which like I've gotten like a lot of questions about over the years whenever I tell people this. So one of my friends who grew up around where I lived moved 2 hours away to a different city. So from time to time, we would go out and like stay with him for a while. And from the ages of like 18 to like 20, 21, I never had a job. I was just like wrestling. I was just training for wrestling. So I had a lot of fucking downtime.
And you were doing the
Um,
burnout media thing at that time, I think, too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to you like every fucking day. We were trying to like monetize about 15, 16 years ago. We were trying to monetize an online radio station, which was fucking hard.
Yeah. Yeah, very hard, actually. Quite hard.
You
But
relied on Google AdSense there for a minute, and that turned into nothing.
But see, it's consistency. Had we have actually done that for 3 or 4 years straight and not stopped, it would have been a different scenario. But I was a child back in the day, so literally. I mean,
Yeah, and the only social media at the time was MySpace.
and don't be dogging on MySpace. MySpace lets you put custom HTML and all that shit. MySpace was the shit back in the day.
Yeah,
I still use
and
MySpace.
we would find programs that would auto add people. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, trying to make it look. Oh yeah, because our burnout media, which is what we called our online radio station, is we had like a couple thousand or whatever fans or friends or whatever you would call them, but they were like mostly fakes, weren't they? Like, or not fakes, but yeah, I don't know.
Obvious like profiles that didn't, like fucking people that lived in other countries and shit. But thankfully, Melanie would follow anything that I did.
Yeah, she was always supportive.
Yeah.
Was she somebody who was in your top friends? Do you remember how you could set a top friends?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But moving on, my friend lived in Kaiser, West Virginia, and that's about 2 hours away from where I live now. And I asked her, I was like, hey, I'm, these people too. I'm going to go out there for like 2 weeks, like 2 weeks in a row, and just stay with this guy, Josh, every night. And I was like, do you want to come with? And she was like, she had to talk to her parents. Her parents green light it. I talked to Josh, which, Josh and her kind of butt heads from time to time, just because Josh's best friend, Jeremy, was Melanie's first like boyfriend, like serious boyfriend.
And I take it didn't go well.
Well, it went great. And I think that's why Josh like kind of didn't like it, because he's like, it's like cutting in on my bro time with my buddy Jeremy.
Dude, that's so relatable though.
Yeah.
That's so relatable. I remember that with Adam when he would have his side chicks or whatever. He'd be like, hey, when do you have time for me? But
yeah, and this was around the time that Melanie met Jeremy, and it was kind of one of those situations where Jeremy just looked at her and was like, hey, like I think you're pretty, like I think you're funny and all this other stuff. And Melanie kind of thought that, I feel like Melanie thought that she wasn't pretty. And so she got that attention from a guy. I don't know how often it would happen before Jeremy, but like she liked that attention. So her and Jeremy started dating.
Yeah. It's always the pretty girls who don't actually think they're pretty.
You see it a million times. Like you just want to like be in their shoes and look in the mirror and be like, well, what the fuck do you see? Because like I thought Melanie was pretty.
Yeah. I wish it was,
but not to the point where, like I said earlier, not to the point where
we were never interested in her like in that way at any point. There was never like, maybe we should try one date.
No. Okay. It was very mutual. We were best friends. Like
that's really cool.
She was like a dude to me.
Yeah. In the best of ways, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like
one of the guys.
Just talk about crude shit. And she had a dark sense of humor. She was really into like spooky shit. But anyway, so we went out there and stayed with Josh for 2 weeks in Kaiser, West Virginia. He had a job. He worked at Martin's day shift. So during the day, he would be gone. And me and Melanie would just walk the streets of Kaiser, West Virginia and just chit chat.
Like what was there to do in this town?
Not much, dude. And really? This is like Kaiser at the time was a little dangerous. And Okay, so me and Melanie were walking on the sidewalk, and we were walking to Martin's just to say hi to Josh and then head back to his mom's house, maybe grab something to eat. And we were walking, and this like fucking sketchy looking dude, tattoos all over himself. You know the kind.
Oh, I know the kind.
I was like, who is this tattooed piece of shit? And he yells from across the street, like down at the corner. He's a good distance away from us. He yells something like, hey guys, hey, come over here. I want to talk to you. And Melanie,
That doesn't
like,
sound good. That's never good when somebody says that you don't know. Hey guys, come over here.
well, it was fucking weird. Like he kind of seemed like he was like strung out on something. Like he kind of like had like something going on with his voice. And
He was on something.
And Melanie was like, what? And I was like, Melanie, don't like give into this.
Just
like,
keep walking,
I don't know
keep
what
walking.
the fuck. Yeah. So I was like, keep walking, keep walking. And this is not the first time I had to do this to her. The dude like started running down the sidewalk to us. And I was like, Melanie, run. And we were not far from where Josh was staying at Josh's mom's. We were not far from Josh's mom's. So
he was literally running at you guys.
Yeah, but he was, like I said, he was like, we were in like a residential house like area, and he was all the way down the street at like a corner. So we just like cut a different corner, ran down an alleyway.
Some time, yeah.
Like I was like, I don't know what
was your heart racing though.
Well, this was just a couple months after I had gotten jumped.
Yeah. So you might have been a little paranoid at that point about it happening again, right?
I did not fucking like Kaiser, West Virginia. I thought it was a shithole.
And so it was Melanie the type of person that would see the good in situations, like, oh, he's probably not bad. He's probably a nice guy or whatever. So she wouldn't like see it for the bad that it could be.
I don't think that she had the best street smarts at the time.
Yeah.
But okay, so I want to go ahead. So that's pretty much the end of that story. Let me tell you this fucking story. So we were smoking weed over at Landis's house one time. It was like an all-nighter. We stayed up all night, and the sun started coming up in the morning, and there was a 7-Eleven down the street from where Landis lived. So we were like, okay, let's go get some fucking hot dogs and shit and come back. So we start making our way, walking through the town of Ranson, West Virginia. We start walking through town, and there's this like sketchy motel across the street. And for some reason, I look over at it, and we're just walking down the sidewalk. I look over at this motel, and there's like a window open on one of the bottom floor. It's actually a single level. There's a window open, and this girl climbs out of the window and starts gunning it towards us, me, Landis, and Melanie.
What the fuck?
And she's screaming bloody murder. And then shortly, she doesn't even get halfway through the parking lot. This huge black guy jumps out of the window, the same window, and starts gunning it towards her. And she's screaming, help! Help!
Oh, domestic like dispute type situation?
I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
There could have been a setup even.
So all three of us stop. And this fucking dude catches up to her. I mean, and he is huge, and she's this tiny chick.
Jesus.
He catches up to her, picks her up, puts her on his shoulder, and he's like, hey, don't worry about her, guys. She's fucking drunk, okay? She's fucking drunk. I'm taking her back into the room. Don't worry about her. And she's like, please help.
Please. Oh my God. He's gonna kill me.
She does. She starts screaming, he is going to kill me.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even know that part of the story.
And so I look at Landis, and we both kind of look at each other and make an agreement in our heads. We start walking again. We're heading to 7-Eleven.
You put the nail in her fucking coffin.
Well,
you might as well have killed her yourself.
Well, guess who's not walking? Melanie. She's just fucking standing there.
And she's not coming with you guys.
Me and Landis start getting some distance between, like away from Melanie. And I look back and I see her fucking just standing there. And I was like, Melanie, come on.
Is she
And
thinking about trying to help or do something?
well, she was like watching this happen. She was like totally zoned out, just like kind of like one of those situations where you're like, whoa, what the fuck should I do? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what I
And
would do in that situation. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I would be with you guys and be walking, be like, "Let's go to 7-Eleven, guys. This isn't our problem."
fuck that. I think I was 18. Landis was like 17. Melanie was 17. And so Melanie, we yell at Melanie to start walking with us. She starts walking with us again. And the girl is like watching us. She's on the dude's shoulder and she's like watching us start to make our ways away. And she's like, you guys aren't gonna fucking do anything. And then she starts screaming at the top of her lungs, you guys are fucking pussies.
Oh, Jesus. So this woman who's about to die is calling you guys pussies. Jesus.
And I
Talk
yelled
about
back,
it. What did you
dude, we're walking and I yelled back over at her. I was like, there's no fucking S on my chest.
Jeez. See, this woman is about to die and she's like calling you guys pussies for walking away. That's crazy.
Well, the next day, so that guy gets her in back into the hotel room.
Well, I bet he
shuts
does.
the window, and we go to 7-Eleven, get our food. We head back to the house, and we're just talking about it all day. Like, what the fuck did we just see? The next day in the newspaper, it's in the newspaper.
Don't
next day,
me.
Somebody was killed in that hotel.
No, dude, and you had the power. You had the ability to at least call. Why didn't you at least call the cops though? You could have gone. You could have walked to the 7-Eleven and called the police.
I've always minded my own business.
I mean, me too. I'm not gonna say shit like I mean, I do too. And Kristen's always, my fiance is always like, if we're in a situation and something's going bad, nothing that bad, but she's like, oh, well, maybe we should call the police. I'm like, no, it's not our business. Don't worry about it. Don't, I mean, we're not getting involved.
Now, absolutely, all day. I might have even intervened today.
Well, dude, you wouldn't want to intervene.
Smartphone. Like,
yeah, you probably don't want to intervene though. That's probably not the way to go.
Oh, man, I don't know.
But based on looking back, her screams, you'd think she was serious, totally serious, then 100%.
In the news article, it said something about how it was like a pimp and hoe kind of situation.
Oh, wow. So one of her last words was, "You guys are pussies.
You guys are fucking pussies." Yeah,
famous last words.
So that is something that that used to be one of my favorite stories to tell whenever I was younger.
That's how long did that stay in your mind? Like, that had to have been, did it haunt you in any way? Like, oh fuck, we could have done something, or the next day you're just life as usual?
No, I think that, like, I don't know, man. I've always thought that life is very weird, and I think that we all make our beds. And we have to lie in it.
Yeah. So did karma get you back in the future for that one?
Dude, if you put yourself in that situation, what the fuck am I gonna do?
Well, you shouldn't get involved because, number one, what if it's a situation where it's like there's actually traps, like they will set up a situation to make it look like somebody needs help, and then it's really just to lure you in to rob you, hurt you. You know, if you're a woman, maybe, or well, man too. Men can be raped, but rape you, kill you, whatever it is you're doing. So yeah, sometimes it's a trap.
That happened 16 years ago, and I never thought about that.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, if you read it in the paper that someone died, it wasn't a trap. She was literally about to get murdered, and she did.
He would have been the pimp if he would have like fucking got us or something like that. He would have been very disappointed. And all three of us, we had maybe $5 all together.
$5 killed for $5 and a pack of gum.
But yeah, so that was something that happened. Melanie, so like I said, her first like serious boyfriend was this guy Jeremy, and Jeremy, you know, was one of my best friends too growing up. He was my neighbor, and he was like, hey, we're gonna have like a cookout kind of like summer thing this weekend. I wanted to invite you, and you know, Melanie's coming too. And I was like, okay, great. And it was over at his mom's boyfriend's house, and he had a pool, man.
A pool? So he had a cool house.
Yeah, it was very rare that this ginger liked to, soak up the sun, get in the pool.
Catch a tan.
Yeah. So, I remember them swimming during the day, but this was one of the first circumstances where I got to like drink.
And you're still not of age yet, so.
No, not of age just yet. I was like maybe 19 years old, and there was some alcohol there. Jeremy's parents were pretty fucking hip too.
I don't know any parents, any hip parents that let us drink.
It happened all the time around here.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I'm definitely sure it happened around here too. I just didn't know anybody personally.
Like, have you ever seen the movie Mean Girls?
A bunch of times.
Yeah, so
a bunch of times.
Regina George's mom, and she's like, "I'm not like your typical mom. I'm
the cool mom." Yeah.
and then she says that line, and if you're gonna drink, I'd rather you do it at the house. Yeah, I was around a lot of parents like that.
I bet. Well, honestly, though, like if somebody's just going to drink anyway, like if you know they're just going to try shit, I guess why wouldn't you rather them do it in your own home? Because then at least they're home. I mean, what's bad? What's going to happen? I mean,
I don't know about your mom, but my mom would have never let that shit fly.
No, I don't think my mom would have let it happen. But like my mom was always the type of mom that would say, "Yo, if you need a ride home, I won't be mad at you. Please call me. I don't care. I won't be mad at you. Just please call me." Like she was one of those parents. Like if you need a ride home and you were drinking, she's like, "I won't give you shit about it. Just do not drive."
Well, hell yeah. Well, that's a good mom.
Yeah. But I doubt she'd be like, "Oh, well, here's a bottle of Jack Daniels. Have fun."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. No. My mom, she like buys. She would back in the day. She would buy my sister's cigarettes before she was 18. But that was because it's like, would you rather them steal it from you?
Yeah. If she was already, so she would just steal it from your mom anyway.
Yeah.
Well, she was like, "Well, if you're going to smoke, you might as well just have your fucking own, because don't take mine." Because I can tell you one thing, there's nothing a smoker hates more, as somebody who did smoke for a few years, nothing a smoker hates more than going for a pack, thinking you have 1 or 2 cigarettes left and finding none. That's a pet peeve.
Pissed.
Oh, yeah. And then finding out somebody else stole it or smoked it.
Yeah. One thing that my sister really got pissed off at me about, me, Melanie, and Landis were over at my house one time, and we were looking through the computer desk, and for some reason my sister, who was very fucking young, had left her makeshift bowl and a little bit of weed in like this drawer, because she knew that my mom never like went in there, never went like looked around and stuff. So me, Melanie, and Landis took it and we smoked it. And
oh man, you assholes.
Yeah,
dude, you can't smoke someone else's stash. That's bullshit. Even if they shouldn't be smoking it.
Yeah, well, she was fucking young. I don't even think she was in high school yet. And I was
wow. Well, then, yeah, you smoked that shit then. It's better. It's better.
I'm doing this for you.
I'm doing it. I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it for you.
Yeah, you think I want to get high on a Tuesday? Like,
actually, I do. I do want to get high on a Tuesday, but this is a punishment for you.
Yeah, it was a great time. It ended up being a great time. But
you're a good brother. You're a good brother.
I think so. Now we're at this party. So Melanie's been dating Jeremy just like a couple weeks, not long at all. And it's starting to get into the nighttime, and there's alcohol there. And Melanie kind of surprised me. I didn't know that she like drank. Like, I knew that she would like sneak cigarettes from time to time, but I didn't know that she would like drink. And we all like had drinks that night. And Melanie kind of like pulled me to the side at one point and was like, "Hey, I think that we're kind of like gonna get intimate tonight, me and Jeremy." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "What the fuck are you telling me?"
Why was she? Yeah, I was about to ask, why is she telling you?
Well, she was like, "Well, she wanted me to like walk off somewhere, like go somewhere."
Oh, like, can you not be around anymore?
I was like, "There's nothing to like really do here, though. They don't have cable. I didn't see like a DVD player anywhere. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do?" And she was like, go like drink the liquor and fucking she was like, "I don't know what to fucking tell you." And I was like, okay.
Did you kind of feel like a third wheel in that situation?
I did feel like a third wheel.
Yeah,
So she told me
that
to fuck
sucks.
off pretty much.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Well,
My biggest pet peeve is when somebody, especially like in the early stages of the relationship, when you're all about that person and it's the honeymoon phase, that they kind of like disregard their family and friends a little bit because they're so about the person that they're with. I just wish people, and I've done this myself, so I'm not casting blame. I'm guilty of it myself in the past, but I just wish we had like the I don't know, the wisdom just to realize, hey, we are friends and family. They were here first. Let's make sure that we don't just brush them off to the side.
yeah, see, I feel like I'm like the complete opposite. I always wanted my friends to be around.
Oh,
Like,
really? Yeah, that was. I had a bad habit of like, well, yeah, I'm dating this new person, so I'm going to be all about them.
it's date night. Like,
my mom's like, but we always have family dinner on Sunday. Well, fuck you, mom. I'm gonna no, I never did that. I never said fuck you, mom. But
like, I need the house to myself with my girlfriend.
We're going out tonight, whether you like it or not. Fuck your spaghetti.
But I didn't respect her wishes, but only because Jeremy walked up to me and Melanie after we had came back over, and he was like, hey man, like it's a fucking like it's a summer night, feels really good outside, and it was like dark time at this time, like completely dark outside. He was like, we should fucking go skinny dipping. I was like, me, you, and her, all three of us. He was like, yeah.
Were you surprised by that suggestion?
Nothing surprised me back then. Like we were just fucking kids. I was like, all right, well, let's do that then. So we all three of us jumped in the pool, and then we like took off our stuff and threw it off onto the side of the pool. Like, and there was like no lights outside either, so like we couldn't really see each other.
So nobody saw nothing.
And it was a really big pool, and they were on one side of the pool, and I was on the other. And I was pretty drunk, and they were too.
Oh, that's really what you shouldn't do, is be drunk and then go swimming.
Really? Why?
Really? Oh, why? Why shouldn't you do that? I wonder why. Maybe because you're in water, and if you just pass out suddenly, you're dead in a minute.
I mean, so
you black out on a bed, nothing terrible will happen to you. You black out in the pool, you're dead.
That's true. Well, I mean, I don't think I ever really got like shitty drunk until I was past 21. Like I just had a couple drinks. We were all like pretty buzzed.
Yeah.
But it came time.
But you were off on your own. I mean, how fun is that? Even with the skinny dipping with your friends or whatever. How fun is that when they're over on that side of the pool and you're over there by yourself, just just looking around, minding your own business? Like, I mean,
I don't know. It's still exhilarating. I don't know. Skinny dipping.
Yeah. That's one thing I've never gotten to do with any, my fiance, I guess we did that one time, but that's obviously expected. But like, I never had like a group of friends where we did that with or anything like that. I felt like I missed out in that way, that I never got that experience, that rite of passage.
Dude, crazy story. The first time I've only skinny dipped, I guess twice. That was the one time. But I was on AOL on the member directory.
I do remember the member directory, yeah.
And I would switch it to just our city. So like it's girls from where I live. And I saw this girl who was like in a grade lower than me. And I hit her up and we like became friends. We would talk on AIM from time to time. And I was like, hey, let's like meet up and like hang out. And she like asked me like, oh, what do you like to do? And I told her like wrestling and stuff like that. I was like, what do you like to do? She was like jogging. I was like, oh my God, I fucking love jogging.
Did you really though?
Never jogged in my life. But I'm trying to impress this girl, I'm like this ugly
the things we do to impress women.
Well, I was, like I said earlier in the show, I felt like I was like an ugly duckling and stuff. So it's like, this is my first times trying to like spit game and see if I can fucking find a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the first time we ever met up, it was in the middle of the night. It was like past midnight. And she was like, I like to go on night runs. And I was like, okay, well, would you feel comfortable meeting up with me in the middle of the night?
Did you ask her that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, what did she say?
She was like, absolutely. And so.
And this was the first date, I guess you would say, or?
Yeah, it was my first time I met like a girl. in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's a little weird for a first meeting, wouldn't you say?
No.
Well, it might not be weird for you, but if somebody was just like, "Hey, let's go meet at nighttime or whatever," be like, "Nah, I'm good." I'm good. Like, Starbucks at 7 p.m. is fine.
Well, I feel like back in the day that used to happen like a lot. Like I've had friends too, like and be like, "Oh, I've been talking to this one girl, but she's not available until like later on tonight." And like,
Well, I guess if you're getting off work at that time or something.
well, I had friends who would meet up with girls in the middle of the night, so I was like, "All right, so I'm just gonna try to meet up with a girl at any time." And this specific one was like, "Yeah, I'll meet you in the middle of the night."
And so you
And
did?
yeah, so I met up with her, and she was like, "All right, so let's like start jogging." And like we were literally like on like a main road in like a low populated town. This is like we have like a Walmart there now. We have all this other shit. Like the Walmart wasn't there at the time. It was like a pretty desolate fucking town. And we're running, and we like ran towards her house. And I didn't know that that's where she lived, but she was like, "Yeah, I live down here." And we like ran to her house, and she was like, "Oh, I live at this farmhouse here." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And she was like, "Yeah, I actually have like river access too, like down the hill." And I was like, "Oh, really?" She was like, "Yeah, do you want to see?" And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
And
see, you get yourself in situations I just wouldn't partake in. I'd be like, I'd be like, you know what? I enjoyed our run. I am good. You have a nice evening, and call me, text me on AIM.
it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and this strange girl I've met on the internet is asking me to go down to her river lot. So I
This is
do.
like the beginning of a story of how you get murdered, by the way. This is exactly what it sounds like.
Well, it's like those times where you're like a kid and you're just having fun and you met
You're going
somebody.
with the flow, basically.
It's going well. You guys are chit chatting and stuff, and like your similar music tastes. And well, we get down to this river lot, and we're just standing on this pier watching the river go and everything. And she was like, "Man, it'd be a great night to take a swim." And I was like, "Well, it is the middle of like July. It's pretty hot outside." I was like, "Yeah, let's fucking swim."
And this is a river,
Yeah, in this dirty fucking river.
probably where
And
chemicals have been dumped and all kinds of shit from companies. And
yeah.
yeah.
I was always told that you shouldn't eat the fish out of this specific river too, because the water's so contaminated.
Oh wow.
So
And
yeah, let's go.
You
fucking
swam in it.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, I don't have any like swimming trunks." And she was like, "Well, you're wearing underwear, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, just swim in your underwear." I was like, "Okay." And
Okay.
just one thing led to another, and she got in without her underwear on, and with nothing on. And I was like, "Do you mind if I do the same?"
Excuse me, madam. Would you mind if I also remove my undergarments?
So that's what we did, man. I skinny dipped with a random girl I met on the internet in the Potomac River.
And then you boned, right? In the river.
Nothing happened. It was
really?
fucking freezing cold in the river.
So nothing could have happened because it was freezing cold.
We spent maybe like 20 minutes in the river, because once we got in, we were like, "Fuck it, now we're in. Let's hang out for a minute." But yeah, never even dated that girl. I think that was the only time I even saw her.
Huh. Just skinny dipped with someone, and then that's the last time you see someone. That just sounds so.
I think she talked to me a
know.
couple days later on AIM, and she was like, "Listen, I have this really older boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, you didn't mention that."
You didn't
before.
mention him before, yeah. Maybe that's why you had to meet after dark, because he had to fall asleep first.
Well, she said something like, he's an older guy. He doesn't really trust me, so I don't think we can hang out anymore.
Well, I
like,
wonder why he doesn't trust her. I mean, sounds like he had some good reasons not to trust.
I was like, "Well, it was nice to meet you."
Skinny dipping with his woman. Of course, it's not your fault. You didn't know that.
She hit me up like 2 years later too, and was like, "Hey, I'm that fucking 35-year-old I was dating. You know, I'm 18. But that 35-year-old I was dating, he's gone. He actually went to prison. Do you want to fucking hang out?" And I was like, "No."
You went to prison. What did he go to prison for? Do you know?
He was I guess he was like a Canadian rapper, right? Like he was from Canada. And he was a rapper, and he would rap in French Canadian. Fucking weird.
Okay. I guess
Yeah.
there's a market for everything.
And apparently, like he had like ties to like the Canadian like mafia, like some kind of a gang in Canada, and they started doing stuff in the United States, and he got tied up in like drugs and stuff like that.
Damn.
I shouldn't have gotten involved.
Sounds
in
complicated. Yeah. But how come you didn't go hang out with his lady then? Were you scared of the mafiosos?
Oh, I was, dude. I just wanted to. I think I wanted to be around just normal people.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Somebody asking you to hang out after midnight, going for a run and skinny dipping. Not normal, I guess. And then she has a boyfriend, of all things.
Yeah, of all fucking things. I got duped.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Happens to the best of us, though.
Yeah. But okay, so back to Melanie. Mike, what kind of music did you would you say that you kind of that you liked? Did you like some Green Day?
I liked Green Day. I know it's not very popular, but I liked Nickelback. I know people Nickelback gets so much shit. I don't even know why.
Yeah,
But
Melanie would have hated you for that.
oh yeah, well, sorry, Melanie. But yeah, but my music taste was all over the board. Like I would listen to everything. I really wasn't into rap so much. Rap was like the main genre of music that I really didn't like too much, unless it was like a mainstream song. But if I didn't go too deep into rap. But I liked hip hop, classical, even country. Was really big into country. Yeah, so kind of a variety of stuff. What about you?
I mean, I really liked Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay-Z.
Before I found out who Linkin Park and Korn were, yeah, I listened to whatever my brother listened to.
Actually, my favorite genre of music probably was oldies. Actually, because I was around my grandmother so much, my grandparents in general, and since I was around them more, I just gravitated towards their music, which was 50s, 60s,
Bob Seger.
70s. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I mean, the Doobie Brothers, the Temptations, yeah.
Your grandparents,
Frankie Valli.
Who?
Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. Oh, Frankie Valli. Sherry, baby, Sherry.
Are you using a voice distorter?
No, that was no. No, but no, he sings really high. So he's like, Sherry. Hey, anybody watching this knows that song. You don't know that song?
No.
Why
I might have heard
don't you come on? Like that's part of the song.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, you have to look him up sometime. He has a lot of big hits actually.
No, well, so some of the bands that like Melanie was really into was like Green Day, Machine Head. She also she was into like she's from Louisville, Kentucky. She would talk about Louisville all the time, and she kind of had like I can't do the accent, but she kind of had like a Louisville accent, if that makes sense. Have you ever met anybody from Louisville?
Actually, I do know people, and I recognize. Yeah, I mean, if you did the accent, I would be able to recognize it. But you said you can't. But
there's like some kind of a twang that they
have.
Yeah,
yeah, I know what you mean, though. Yeah, I have family in Kentucky.
So Melanie kind of like grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, but she moved out around here whenever she was like, I don't want to misspeak, maybe like 12, 13 years old. She grew up out there though. So she had the accent, and she was into like Southern rap. And there was this big fat white guy who was a rapper named Haystack. Have you ever heard of him?
I have heard of Haystack. Yeah, I just don't.
Okay.
I don't know if I would recognize the music or maybe I would. I don't know.
Well, Melanie, she tried her best to get me into this Haystack. She would like send me songs all the time, and she's like, maybe you'll like this one. And I'd send back, I'd be like, that was trash. Send me another one.
Were you not, you didn't like a lot of rap or whatever?
I am an instrumental listener. If you like Eminem and The Game, and shit, fucking Jay-Z.
Yeah,
like I feel like and a lot of like Wu-Tang Clan. Like I feel like they have like some really good beats and stuff. I couldn't give two shits about the lyrics, but man, if you have like a fucking sick beat, I'd like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always down with the sick beats, as the kids say. I
I
was
love
always I love a good sick beat.
But Haystack, just in my opinion, Haystack, his beats were kind of like depressing a little bit. But see, Melanie was she wasn't like depressed or anything like that, but she was a very emotional person, and she liked emotional music. Like Haystack would sing like a lot of like sad songs and stuff like that, and and I am like the king of sad music. Like I like a lot of Linkin Park's songs, like the whole first album, Hybrid Theory. I can really relate, like on a fucking deep level, with a lot of those songs.
I remember when I broke up with I didn't break up, she broke up with me. When my first girlfriend that I was just obsessed with, loved her, thought she was going to be the one and all that stuff, I was truly heartbroken. When that happened, I would listen to a whole bunch of songs knowing that they would make me sad and like probably, teary-eyed and like emotional, and
Yeah.
keep listening to them over and over again. It's almost like I was torturing myself on purpose. And like I would tell somebody like my friend or whatever and be like, "Oh, I'm listening to these songs." She's like, "Well, how about you just not listen to those songs?" I'm like, but I have to. I have to listen. Oh, it was like a healing process, I guess. I don't know.
Even to this day, I have full playlists of just sad songs. I fucking love sad music.
Yeah, sad music. It actually helps you in some ways.
That's what they say. We'll talk about musical influence, how music influences people here soon. But either way, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the music. Her favorite band, she would tell anybody, her favorite band ever was Green Day. She had a tattoo on her arm of like a flower, and I want to say it was like Green Day art.
Now, Green Day was that "I walk this lonely road, the only one that I have ever known."
Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I fucking hate that whole album. The American Idiot album, I don't like that album.
I remember doing we had this project in TV communications class in high school, and I actually used that song. And we were supposed to the project was to make a music video. So I did that song, and then I had my brother walking down a dark. It was like nighttime, and he would walk down the road, and I would film him walking down the lonely road.
Oh my god!
So I remember doing I know Green Day very well because of that. But
Wow.
but getting back to Melanie for a second, I want to ask you, what do you think made her gravitate to that kind of music? That some you because you said she generally like kind of like sad music. So why did she gravitate towards like sadder music?
Like I said, I just think that she was like a very deep person. Once you like got to know Melanie, and you had like, because me and her had so many like deep conversations. That's why I say that like she didn't have like the best confidence in the world. I feel like, man, right before everything happened, I feel like she was really coming into her own, and she was like trying to break out of her shell more, and like you could just kind of see that she was like growing up. But so okay, so one more subject here. We got one more, and then we'll kind of talk about some psychological things that her dying, like where I was and stuff like that. So one of the things about being a young adult was I found a place called the Party House. That's what everybody that went to this house, it was in town here. It was called the Party House. You can meet a lot of different cool people. There was like never any fights that happened at this. There was never any like hard fucking drugs. You couldn't find heroin or cocaine or nothing like that at this fucking place. These people like to drink. A handful of people would, walk off to the side, smoke some weed or something like that. But it was mainly a drinking place for really young people. But this was a place that I had figured out through some of my friends that didn't know Melanie. And I started going to this place, and just one night, and I went to this place a handful of times every week for months, maybe like a year. I went there one night, and fucking Melanie was there.
And you didn't know she was going to be there?
No, I had no clue. We did not upload any pictures for this episode, but one of the only pictures that I have of me with Melanie is from a night at the party house.
And were these good nights?
Oh, great.
Okay. Yeah.
Now one of the nights that she was there, she was like kind of like crying off to the side. You know, you're like, good nights, and I'm like, oh well, one of these nights
she was bawling her eyes out.
Nah, she was like, something was like really affecting her, and she came to me because like I was like one of the friends that she had that was at this party house that she knew longer than anybody else, and like, you know, we were very close. And she was just going through a breakup. That's all that was going on. And she was kind of venting to me about, you know, it was one of like her first like serious breakups. She had met this guy, I won't say his name, but she was like hanging out at this dude's house like all the time and staying the night all the time. And it was like her first like serious boyfriend. And things didn't go well. They went sour. They ended up breaking up, but she felt like she still loved him and all this other shit. And she kind of vented to me that night.
Yeah. And so had you guys been hanging out consistently still at this point, or was like this is the first time seeing her in a while?
Yeah, I guess it was like the first time we had seen each other in a while. We went through like a solid year of like just hanging out all the fucking time. But then, you know, like sometimes like the holidays happen, like Christmas happens, or like some kind of like long string of holidays happens, and you just don't see your friends that often. And you know, like we'd still talk on AIM or talk on the phone from time to time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So she confided in you, you know, and what did she really say that night? Do you remember?
I don't really remember. God, man, like it's sometimes you have to remember, man. Like she died in 2009. It's
Yeah, so it was a
2022.
long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, time goes by fast, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, okay, one thing that I didn't so we're not going to mention the man piece of shit
by name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to mention his name or anything like that, but we will say, so I'll kind of take us down like a route here. This is my show, you know, and I kind of
summarize it.
Well, I want to be careful.
Well, it's important to be careful, but I think it's also good to provide the people watching and listening context for exactly what this is. And of course, you can look up the details yourself. You know, if you want to Google the Farmville murders, you can look up this information, just, you know, and do your own deep dive search on it, which I have. But maybe it would be good to talk about the little high level stuff of what happened. Like,
well, me and Melanie had a falling out, and it was because of essentially what got her murdered, in my opinion. So, okay. She started sharing like not pictures, like sharing like these songs and stuff like that from the genre of music called horrorcore.
Yeah.
And
is this pretty new for her? This wasn't something she had been doing before?
I get there was other people that lived around here that were like kind of into it. Maybe she learned of it through them, but she loved music. So she was constantly like on MySpace music and like looking up different stuff to listen to. So just being a lover of music, she just stumbled upon this horrorcore genre. But specifically, there was like a music label called SKR. And SKR stands for Serial Killin' Records. And all of this music was rappers who would, their lyrical content was like fucking brutal subject matter, like murdering people and you know what I mean?
Dark shit. Yeah.
Just the dark dark
And this
subject.
is different from hardcore metal, right? This is not that.
Yeah. No, like
Or death metal is what I was trying to think of. That's different than that even.
yeah, it's the most extreme, in my opinion, it's like the most extreme music you can listen to. Like as far as like, I don't know, like and the kind of people that you meet in this genre are just like people. Okay, so to kind of put it into context, a lot of my friends growing up listened to ICP,
Yeah.
the Insane Clown Posse, and it's like a lot of those songs were like about like cutting people up, and like the ICP would like get involved with other artists like Twisted and all these other artists. Like I don't like any of that shit. Um my friends would like listen to that stuff whenever we would backyard wrestle. Like they would like wear like ICP, like the Juggalo, the Hatchet Man, like shirts and shit. Whenever they would wrestle, they would have ICP as their theme music. Some of them, like there was like a group of my friends who were really into ICP there for a little while. So it was kind of like that. SKR was essentially ICP times 1,000.
So, in your opinion, this kind of music, horrorcore, it's not a type of music that really anybody should listen to.
If that is what you're into, oh fuck, it's like, I don't know, man. I think it's fucking trash. So here's what I think. It's a vehicle for you to really be able to dive into some of your deepest, darkest fucking thoughts. And somebody out there who has like visions and dreams of murdering people, of hurting people, watch a fucking serial killers documentary. Maybe these people have hurt animals, something like that. And then they're on the internet one day and they just stumble upon, oh my God, there's people rapping about like brutally murdering like a whole family or murdering their wife or whatever. It's like, man, finally something I can relate to.
I've been waiting for this kind of music.
It's like, why did we listen to the song In the End by Linkin Park? That song is a very sad song. It's like maybe we were in a situation in our life where it's like we were depressed and we needed like a song that would illustrate that for us.
Yeah.
Well,
connect you with that emotion or whatever.
These fucking kids, well, a lot of them were like adults too, like rapping about like all this like sick, demented shit. It's like, how can I not think that like this doesn't give them a vehicle, this doesn't give them an outlet to really explore how they're feeling?
Yeah.
So I think that Melanie, like,
she got caught up in it.
Well, I just think that like it was like shocking, like she wanted to shock people or something.
But like, do you feel like she went through anything traumatic that made her like gravitate towards? I mean, in my mind, and I don't know if this is right, but like I feel like something traumatic or bad has to happen in your life to make you gravitate towards something like that. No?
Nothing that I know of. Like her parents were loving and still together. She had a little brother. She had lots of friends. Like, but that's the thing though. That's the thing about depression. You can have the greatest support system. Yeah. You can have all these great things going for you. If you are sad, none of that shit matters.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I think this was kind of like a situation with Melanie. Plus, like I said earlier, I think that she went through a long period of her time thinking that she was like ugly or not attractive or something like that. I think that she was a little self-conscious. So long story short, she finds this SKR and it's communities on the internet. It's a huge community. All these like different rappers, and it's not popular. Like it's underground rap.
Yeah.
You could hit up one of these people who are a rapper and they'll more than likely fucking talk to you. And from my understanding, she talked to a lot of the rappers.
So maybe it felt like an exclusive, I don't know, club, I guess, that she was a part of because it was cool. Like oh, I'm reaching out to these artists and they're replying, and
Yeah.
it felt more accessible than, I guess, mainstream music or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess like, I don't know how easy it is to obtain like a beat, but then, you got like, you buy a computer and a microphone and you start, writing some raps and stuff like that. And then you upload your songs or whatever. And then you're a part of this like group that's like, oh man, that's some wicked shit you fucking wrote, man. Like man, that's for the wicked, man. I think that's what because she went to a concert. It was like a festival kind of thing. I think it was called Strictly for the Wicked.
It's like a festival for like horrorcore fanatics or what?
Yeah. Yep. A bunch of horrorcore rappers get together and it's a fucking couple day long thing. Kind of like ICP has The Gathering. It's, their gathering. Well, Melanie was making like a lot of friends on the internet. I think that whenever she wasn't around other people, she was on her computer in her room. She'd spend a lot of time on the computer and made a lot of friends. And she ended up making friends with the other girl, Emma Niederbrock. And we'll just go ahead and give out their because they had stage names. Melanie had a stage name. Melanie called herself Miss Free Abortions.
Free abortions.
On MySpace, and that rubbed me wrong. So I was like, so here's why we had a falling out. So I could kind of tell that she was getting really into this stuff. She was like changing her like MySpace layout to have all of her like her about me and her interests, like all this like dark shit. And I just messaged her on MySpace and I was like, what the fuck are you like? What are you doing? Like, what is all this stuff? Like, help me understand it. Cause I just told her, I was like, I think it's fucking lame. Like, and I think SKR is like weird. Like all these songs about like murder, like graphic.
Well, more than just lame, it's extreme. I mean,
I just thought it was lame. Yeah. Like, I was like, this is kind of like ICP. Like, it's like, it feels like all this shit's for attention.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it sounds like it is.
So the last message that Melanie ever sent me was, hey, if you don't fucking like this music, because this isn't just music to me, this is a lifestyle. If you don't fucking like how I live my life, then you don't have to talk to me.
Wow.
I was
so she was so caught up in it that she just,
she loved it.
But a lifestyle, like what does that even mean? Like, how do you even, what is it? Well,
I was like, fair enough, Melanie. If you really like, if you're that caught up in all this, and by all means, like, I think it's fucking lame. So goodbye.
I mean, were you upset by that, by like her just kind of like dismissing you, like, well, if you don't like it, then peace, basically?
I was a kid, man. Like I was 21, 2009. Yeah. I was 21. I was only 21 in a couple months. And I had falling outs with other people before, and I had reconnected with them later. I didn't think it was the end. I was like, okay, well, go about your business.
You guys were already hanging out less and less up to this point too?
Yeah.
So that was the last message.
Yeah.
Like the very last time you heard from her. Wow.
So, and that's something that, bothered me a lot after everything happened that September. It bothered me a lot.
And why do you think it bothered you?
Just because I knew it wasn't the end of our friendship.
Yeah.
I've had falling outs with people. Then you just wait a year, wait 6 months, wait a couple months, wait a couple weeks, and hit them up. You're like,
hey. Let some time pass, cooler heads prevail.
Yeah, just and I used to be like the apologizer too. Like I had a falling out with Landis too, and I think I was the one who sent him a message like that, and they're like, "Hey man, this is stupid. Like, let's just be fucking friends."
Yeah.
And that had worked well for me, patching up friends. Yeah, I haven't had a falling out with every fucking last person I've known, but
I was about to say, you have a lot of falling outs. Everybody you know. Fuck you, Travis.
Like I'm sending a message to my mom on Christmas Eve. I'm like, hey, I fucking You're
It's
still
been
my
it's
mom.
been 10 years, mom.
Let it go.
Please.
Let's be friends. Yeah. So I didn't even know that the Strictly for the Wicked festival was happening. I didn't know that Melanie went to this thing. So here's how I learned that she died. I just got on MySpace one morning. Didn't even know that because she was missing for a couple of days. Well,
And
not
this was pretty recent to your last message? Like, this was pretty close to, or was this like weeks? Did weeks go by? I'm trying to put a time frame on it. Do you remember?
I think it was like 2 or 3 months after we had this message.
Okay.
And I just got on MySpace, and back in the day on MySpace, there was something called bulletins.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah.
I do
It's
remember
it's like a status update.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I just glanced over at the bulletins, and one of our mutual friends all it said was R.I.P. Melanie. And my heart sank. I was like,
Wow.
R.I.P. Melanie. I was like, there's only one fucking Melanie that most of us know. And I spent the rest of the day on the computer just talking to people, being like, what in the fuck happened?
And so you found out that way.
Yeah, through a bulletin.
And was it on the news or anything locally?
Not locally. Honestly, like I feel like in Farmville, Virginia, I feel like it was, I don't even know how
And
much it was.
how far was that from you then?
Oh man. Farmville, Virginia is like 5-6 hours away.
Oh, so that's why. Well, yeah, it wouldn't have been on local news.
And the house that all that happened in was just recently, from my understanding, sold. So there's like somebody living in there.
I wonder if they have to disclose that. Like, oh, by the way, little disclaimer, like several people were murdered in this home. Like, wouldn't you have to disclose that information? Like, because if
I
you
would be fucking pissed if I moved into a house and I learned
dude,
that.
yeah, if I found out after the fact, I'd be like, I want my money back right now. Like,
Yeah, so I just Google mapped it. It's 3 hours and 44 minutes away from me.
yeah, still good distance. That's why I wasn't on the local news. But so yeah, so you were online Googling, trying to figure out what was going down. Did you see any articles about it or anything like that?
Nothing. Yeah, nothing the first day. I was dating some other girl at the time, and she, could tell that it was like bothering me, and she was like, "Hey, let's go out to like a hookah bar to get your mind off things. So let's just get you out." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do that." And it was so weird, man. We went to this hookah bar that night, the day that I learned everything. And whenever we got to the hookah bar, the song "I Miss You" by Blink-182 was playing.
Wow, talk
I
about
started
timing.
crying.
Yeah, well, I imagine.
Right.
Yeah,
then and
sometimes
there.
I feel like things. I think sometimes things are like it's clearly fate, like because there's so many times where like you're experiencing some type of emotion, and then or you're even thinking about a memory, and then a specific song comes on that makes you either think about that memory or connect to that memory in some way. And I sometimes feel like that's fate. Sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I couldn't listen to the song "I Miss You" by Blink-182 for years after that.
Yeah, that's really tragic, and it's not. It wasn't just Melanie either. She was several other people, or a few other people, were also
Yeah.
murdered in that house. And would you be able to summarize, just, you don't have to go into names, you don't have to mention any gruesome details, nothing like that, but do you want to summarize like what happened, or you don't want to go that far?
Yes. So like we'll go ahead and like put like faces to or names to these people. So it's like, like Melanie died. She and her connection with the girl, there was a girl her same age, maybe even a year younger than her, named Emma Niederbrock, who ended up getting murdered as well. She was talking to Emma. She was one of the people that Melanie was like staying up all night on her computer talking to. Like she made like a really fucking close friendship with Emma. And they were like, from my understanding, they were like birds of a feather. Apparently Emma was also like a very like funny, outgoing kind of crude person as well. And they both smoked weed and stuff like that. So they were just birds of a feather, and they found each other on the internet, and they became very close. And Emma was the one who was like, Melanie, if you wanted to go to this fucking festival where all these people we mutually talk to, like, you can have your dad bring you down and we'll fucking go together. And that's where it went wrong, because Emma was talking to other people too, which ended up being the guy who ended up killing her. He was not a big part of the rap scene, from my understanding. He wasn't like an accomplished rapper or anything like that. He just had some fucking shitty songs on YouTube. But he had ended up meeting Emma, and they became internet boyfriend, girlfriend. And
I remember those days, internet boyfriend, girlfriend.
Well, he actually lived in California, and he flew out to Farmville to go to this thing with them. But here's one of the things. Melanie, if she didn't like you, you knew.
Yeah, very vocal about it.
Yeah. She'd probably make fun of you.
Oh, geez.
And I think that whenever this guy got off the plane, made his way to Farmville, and met Emma, his internet girlfriend, met her in person for the first time, and he was this sweaty piece of shit, and ugly.
Is this one of those situations where like he like used a different profile picture, like made himself look nicer than he was, or?
I think it was mainly face shots and shit, you know.
Yeah, so you didn't see the full detail, the full picture.
And so, I mean, and Emma was a very cute girl too. So, you know, she's this cute girl, meets the guy that she's been talking to on the internet, and immediately she feels this vibe that he's just weird. He's fucking weird. And who would have thought that the guy who raps about killing people is a fucking
weird. Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
And Melanie as well. She probably took one look at the fucking guy, looked at Emma, and was like, this is the fucking dude you've been talking to? Jeez.
You should always go with your gut.
Well, I think that, okay, so from a psychology standpoint, I think that this kid in California, the one who came and murdered them, I think that he was an outcast. From my understanding, his family says that he like got bullied in school. He had to transfer schools multiple times. He finally got on the computer one day and found this fucking group of people who accepted him. And they were like, oh, dude, you like to rap about this? Yes.
So do we.
Like, dude, come on in. And apparently, you know, and then he goes and meets him. They don't like him at their first sight, but he's there though. He's in Farmville now. He can't just get back in the car and drive back to California.
Yeah. He's got to stay somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And Emma's mom, Deborah Kelly, agreed to take them to the concert. And because she wanted them to be safe, she's like, well, you know, you guys aren't just going to fucking go by yourself. I will accompany you. I will be the chaperone. Once we're there, you know, go have fun and everything, but meet up with me at the end of the night. It was one of those things.
Sounds like a good mom.
Yeah. And their dad too. Now, from my understanding, Emma's parents were recently divorced, and it was something that was really bothering Emma as well. They both went to this concert with Melanie, Emma, and all of them. And once they got to the concert, from my understanding, Melanie and Emma were still talking shit about the guy
around him. Like he
I don't know
heard,
if it was around
maybe
him.
he overheard something.
But as soon as they got there, they were like, hey, if it's cool, you know, you smelly piece of shit, yeah, we're gonna go off and go have fun with our friends that we've known on the internet for a long time. You can go do whatever you want. Apparently he was by himself for a lot of the concert, just
Probably steaming, getting mad.
getting pissed.
Yeah.
Because dude, you have to think about him for just a second. He just spent a long time talking on the internet with this girl, and it's finally a girl who understands him, that said they say I love you to each other.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, fuck, like,
He's excited. He
I
spends
never
all this
thought this would
money.
happen. Yeah.
Spends his money to go travel there. And he thinks the situation is going to be one thing in his head, ends up being something different.
And it's dog shit from the second he gets there.
Yeah.
And then you have, and I'm just gonna be honest, like, Melanie probably did like make fun of him or something like that. Maybe not like direct, like, I don't want to paint the wrong picture, but she probably wasn't very nice to him at all.
Yeah. And all it would have taken for somebody like him is just a snide, smart ass comment or a few of those to set him off on the wrong path.
Yeah, so they went out to the concert and they came back home, and after this multi-day deal out there, now he doesn't just fucking go home the next day after he gets home. He planned for his trip. His go home flight was like a couple days after they would get back home to
and he's staying at this house, right? At Emma's house.
Yeah. And apparently they're all going to sleep in separate rooms and all that. Melanie, I guess, was like sleeping in their living room, and Emma had her own room, and her dad didn't live there, so he went home, so he's not even there. And the mom has her own bedroom and all that, and I think they all went to sleep that night, not knowing anything bad was going to happen.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, I guess he didn't go to sleep, or maybe he pretended like he was going to go to sleep. But there was open alcohol and all that, and from my understanding, he had access. And this is one thing I don't understand: he had access to some kind of like pills
From their house, or
I don't know. Did he did he bring pills there? How did
steal
the pills?
them? Yeah.
But I guess it was some kind of like narcotic-y kind of pill. And so from my understanding, that is what he had to do to be able to commit the acts that he did, was to have some alcohol and take these pills to kind of put him in that stupor where
well, let's not take the responsibility away, of course. Yeah.
I feel like if you're nice and fucked up, and then you let you get nice and fucked up, and then you let everything that just happened over the last couple of days and all these feelings of rejection and all this stuff just stew in you, then he just fucking snapped. And dude, I mean, come on. He's been rapping about this stuff, thinking about it all the time, writing and writing and writing, song after song. He has multiple songs. And then he gets to do it.
It's a fantasy in his mind. And I don't even know what the order is or anything like that, but he ends up killing Melanie, Emma, and Emma's mom, Deborah, all in that same night, right?
Yes, it was the first night. Yep.
And then I understand it was either a day or two had passed, and the father came over to check on someone, right? Because I guess they weren't responding to messages or something. Do you know what happened there?
Yeah, Melanie's mom, total sweetheart. Which that's the most heartbreaking thing that I've seen from this whole thing, is that she's actually like sat down and did like interviews and stuff for it that have been on like some of the documentaries that they've made about all this shit. And it's just, you can tell that she's obviously never going to be the same. But
how could you, honestly?
She was trying to call, and Melanie wasn't answering any texts or calls, and she had the number to the house, and she even talked to the fucking piece of shit.
He answered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know if he just played it off like nothing happened? Like it was.
He was, yeah. He was like, "Oh, they're fucking out at the movies. Oh, they're not here right now. Oh, they should be back any moment now." Man, oh God. But okay, so here's one thing that I found in my research. So in the last couple years, if you've listened to the Travis DuFour show before, I kind of dived into like my mental health issues in the last like number of years. So with that being said, there's been some nights in the last couple years where I just start Googling shit about Melanie, seeing if there's anything new, or I've listened to a lot of the podcasts to hear if there's any information that I've missed. There's a lot of content out there, a lot of content. And I stumbled upon a YouTube video of it's titled like I spent time in a cell with a convicted serial killer, and it was somebody who was cellmates for a short period of time with the dude, the piece of shit who murdered them, and some very satisfactory shit came from it. He doesn't get any respect in prison at all.
For what he did?
Yeah, because you killed people who were sleeping.
Yeah. And from what the reports say, they didn't even awake. There was no signs they had actually awoke during the attack.
Yeah. No
fighting. No defensive, marks or anything like that.
No. So boom, you're a fucking coward. And then whenever the dad did show up 2 days later, because Melanie's mom was finally reached out to him and was like, "Hey, can you fucking go over there and see what is like?" Nobody's answering I can't get a hold of her. So boom. And then you've also attacked somebody. Apparently, like he attacked him from the back. Like Mark Niederbrock, Emma's dad, had no clue that this was going to happen to him. So he was bombarded. So you're killing people in their sleep, and you're being a coward about killing the father as well. He said that people would just walk into his jail cell and be like, "Oh, hey, is that an extra muffin? Is that an extra Twinkie from lunch? Yeah, that's mine." And they just take shit from him. No respect is given to him. Apparently, he has it really hard in prison.
Well, good for him.
He's in general population, from my understanding, which is crazy.
Such a violent person.
Him, I would not want to be in general population.
Yeah. One part of the story that we did forget to mention is that Emma's father went over to the house to check on the situation like a day or two later, and he ended up getting murdered as well, right? That's Mr. Niederbrock.
Yeah.
He ended up, I guess, talking with the guy. Didn't know what was going on or something, or maybe he did. Maybe there was a smell. I don't know what was happening, but he ended up getting caught up in it too. And that's.
Yeah, I guess he had like a key to the house. And whenever Melanie's mom got a hold of him, she was like, "Hey, go check on it." And then he just unlocked the door, walked right in. He made it a little bit into the house, and then he got attacked from the back.
Jesus Christ. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think, that was.
I can't even imagine.
It's like, where do we even fucking go from here?
It's a sad, unfortunate story, and it just shows, you get caught up in that kind of lifestyle, I guess, as it was put, as Melanie put it herself, and that just, what a terrible way for a life to end. I mean, that's just and undeserving. And even if you did get caught up in that music and that lifestyle, that just it should never end in that. Well, I don't know, whatever problems that dude was going through, or whatever, he obviously had fantasies of killing people, or something along those lines. It's messed up. It's sad. It's tragic.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Like you felt helpless, I imagine. And you expressed to me that you feel like maybe there's something you could have done. Like in retrospect, you were wondering how you could have changed something you did potentially.
Well, I know that there's nothing I could.
Yeah, there really is nothing,
but here's something. Here's what we'll end with. So like I said, last couple years, really dark times for me at times. My best friend committed suicide about 5 years ago. And after that, it really sunk me so fucking deep into my depression. So that's why I would Google random things like about my dad, who's also, he died when I was 14. I would just Google things about Melanie, and I would just I don't know, whenever you're depressed, for me, you just start researching shit that you don't need to.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was going through a really fucking hard week. I started Googling which prison that the murderer is at now. And he's been at the same one for a long time. And then whenever I found out from that YouTube video that there was a guy in general population that fucking had access, he was his roommate. I was thinking about going down to the town that prison is. It's in Virginia somewhere. And dude, obviously I would never do this, but I gave this some fucking serious consideration. I thought about going down to the town where that prison is, committing some kind of a crime where I would get put into that same jail that this fucking dude was at. And I'm telling you, my mental state, my depression, I felt like I was just ready to die at any moment. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go down to that town, commit a crime, get put into the prison where this dude is. I'm going to kill him.
You can't do that, though.
No. But that's just crazy, man. Psychologically.
And there's also no guarantee you'd even be put in the same prison. Wouldn't that be, honestly, wouldn't that be the shit as you do commit the crime and then you get taken off halfway across the country to some other place and you're like, fuck.
Well, it'd have to be I don't know, you'd have to do the research. What is a crime that you could just get locked away for 6 months? But then you kill the guy and then you're probably going to be in there for 20 years.
Yeah. But that's sad that you went to that dark place that you actually even contemplated that as an option.
Well, it's just so unfair.
But that's where our minds take us sometimes, down dark paths.
Yeah. I just feel like Melanie's parents and her brother, they just had such I don't know, level enough heads and everything. And that whole situation was just so fucking unfair to them. And I know that her little brother has had a lot of trouble since then. He's doing really good now, from my understanding. But I know that psychologically that tanked their whole family, obviously. They could have, from what I was reading, they could have tried for the death penalty. Did a whole trial, did the whole thing. But they didn't want to live out the horrors that happened. So they just took what the state wanted to give them, which was life imprisonment, 4 consecutive counts of capital murder. And they were like,
so he'll never see the light of day again.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, that's good enough for us. Let's just let him rot in prison.
I mean, in that sense, I hate to say the phrase justice was served, because I feel like in the event of a murder, of a death, when a life is lost, 4 lives in this case, there's no bringing them back. So there's no amount of justice that could ever bring those people back. And so that guy gets to continue living his life. I mean, yeah, in prison, mind you, but I'm a big supporter of the death penalty. I feel like people like that, if they issued a death sentence on somebody else that he decided to murder 4 people, he should also be put to death.
I believe an eye for an eye, for sure.
Yeah. And I also believe it shouldn't be humane. In my mind, it wasn't humane. The sentence that he issued on people was not humane. So I feel like what you should get in return should not be humane. That's a lot of people think that's very extreme, barbaric, crazy. but that's what I believe. I believe that.
I really hope that he's had some really rough nights where he's gotten beaten the fuck out of.
Well, we can only hope.
Yeah, apparently he has no friends. Like, he has nobody to talk to. But anyway.
But the point of this whole podcast was a dedication, a memory of
Yes.
Melanie, and getting to discuss your friendship with her. And that sounds like a really sweet friendship. And it's unfortunate that it was cut short where it was, but you always have the memories. You always have the good times that you shared, and, you know, cherish those, man. You know, in fact, for the people watching, listening, you know, cherish the relationships you have with everyone, your friends, your family, because you never know when it's the last time. You know, anything could happen, you know, and so that's, you know, just make every moment count.
You know, and her and among the other people that I've been close to that have passed away, especially her, whenever somebody I know like is like, oh, my this and that died, my dad, my mom, my coworker, something like that, I always ask them, oh, if you don't mind me asking, you know, like, how did they die? If they're like, they just went to sleep and didn't wake up. Like my former manager, Mike Skills. He was young. He was like 41, 42. He literally fell asleep on the couch, and like they just found him and he was dead. He fell asleep.
No
died.
warning signs necessarily.
Okay. That sounds fucking peaceful. I love that. And I always tell people that. I'm like, I love that they went nice and easy.
Well, I think that that's how most people would like to go, is like quiet while they're asleep, no pain, no suffering. That would be ideal for everybody.
You know, I've just known all these people who have went out in the most fucking brutal way. If I hear about somebody dying peacefully, I will tell you all day. They are in a much better place. I love that. I'm glad that there was no pain, because this world is just so fucking full of pain.
Oh yeah.
If you
It
can
really
die
is.
without that, perfect.
And dude, I don't know, as kids, why as kids did we want to grow up and be adults so bad? Like, I mean, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I'll tell you that much. It hasn't been.
I know that you said in season 1 that you were one of those guys. It's like, I can't wait to grow up. I was never that guy, man. I loved being a kid.
I couldn't wait for the milestones. Oh, I can't wait to be 18 so I could do this and that. Oh, I can't wait to be 21. Oh, when I'm 24, I could rent a car. I'm just like, or 25, whatever the age is. But then, like, as you get older, you're like, fuck, no, the time to really enjoy was being a kid. That was the best time.
Yeah. This adulting shit is unbearable.
Fuck adulting. Seriously. Yeah. But no, let's remember Melanie for the positives, and you know, and I'm glad we got a chance to discuss this. And of course, if you want to do your own research, take a deep dive, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, and just be careful with the music you listen to, I guess. Like, and be careful of the friends you make, especially online.
Yeah, it's like and G Rod's in the show now. Yeah, he said he was the same way, Mike. Just wanted to grow up, man. I do want to put a bow on this, you know. Please stick around, you know, for the after show. But I want to put a bow on this. I've never had a friend like Melanie before. I haven't had a friend like her after, and I miss her every day. I often wonder what kind of person she would have been like now. Like, you know, she died at 18. It's like, that's
so young. Her life was just getting started.
Yeah, and it's like, I do sometimes. Well, a lot of the times I wonder who these people would be now. But on that same token, as someone who has dealt with a lot of loss, I'm very happy that I got the time that I got.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I also, I want to make sure this is clear. I did not do this episode for the views, to get my podcast numbers up. I did not do this for that. The Travis DuFour show is a very personal show for me. This is not therapy for me. This is for me to document and talk about things that are close to my heart. And we don't make any money off of this show. I don't care if we ever do. I do this to literally just so my daughter, so anybody who cares about me, they have something that they can listen to, because I know that one day my life will be over and my wrestling matches on YouTube will be all that you really have. My podcast will be all that you really have. There's like that's just important to me, because whenever somebody passes, if you loved that person, and if there's not much to kind of fucking backtrack on to see in the past and stuff like that kind of sucks. I don't have many pictures of my dad. I don't have any videos of my dad. Like, that sucks.
That does suck, man.
You know? So if I may, and also I talked to somebody who listened to the whole season 1 a couple days ago, and they were just like, thank you. They thanked me. They were like, dude, you told your story, and it was just so interesting to hear like the stories of somebody's past, like to get to know them and stuff. And I just don't mind letting you guys know who I am. And thank you to Mike too for
thank you.
Well, you're joining this very personal endeavor of mine. And you asked me before the show started if I was going to have a hard time talking about Melanie. I think 10 years ago, yeah, probably I would have probably not been able to do this episode. But that's the thing, when they say time heals all wounds, it doesn't fucking heal the wound, but it does get better as you go on.
Yeah, it does get better. And,
okay.
And I totally believe everything as far as like, we didn't sensationalize anything. We didn't go into gruesome details. And if we were trying to get views and all that kind of stuff, then we would have gone in a different direction. And that wasn't the point of this at all. And going back to what you said about, the lives we live and everything, hopefully for the both of us, for our families, for the people we love, hopefully they're long, prosperous, fruitful lives. And that's all we could really hope for, really.
Yeah. And if you're antisocial, if you have social anxiety or anything like that, I wish you the best of luck in getting over that stuff so you can fucking be with your friends and family.
Yeah. And if you ever feel afraid, this is coming from someone who's an introvert, reach out to someone. Yeah. Reach out to your friend and don't tell yourself that, oh, I don't want to burden them. They won't want to hear it. That's just things we tell ourselves. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody if you need help, if you're going through something.
Dude, even to this day, that really burdens me. Yeah, if anything's bothering me, I can't fucking just message, because it's like I'm 34 years old now. It's like, am I at that age where it's like, oh, I should be able to just deal with this and move on?
Nobody ever reaches that age. That's not a realistic thing.
That's a very unhealthy way to think.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start reaching out more.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, guys, and remember that the next episode we will have Black Lightning on the show. He's our first guest for season 2, and I hope that you tune into that. For Mike Yatsco, for Travis DuFour, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on episode 2.
Bye, guys. And we're back for another edition. Oh no, it's the after show, the after show.
Let's go ahead and get Black Lightning on the line.
Episode 2, Daddy. Dig it, Daddy.
My coffee is cold as fuck.
Yeah, I have no coffee. I have no drink. I should have actually got something to drink before we started this, but I did not.
Yeah, dude. Season 1, we were supposed to do this episode, the Melanie episode, and I'll tell you this right now. I
kept getting pushed.
Well, I was just so self-conscious about it, and I just didn't fucking want anybody from like Melanie's family or any of my mutual friends that I had with Melanie that I still talk to this day. I didn't want any of them to think that I'm doing this for like clout or doing this for views or anything like that. It's like, so I just wanted to fucking tribute my friend, episode 1, get it out of the way. Not get it out of the way. I don't want to look at this as
Yeah.
getting at it out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. You didn't want to come across like, okay, guys, we're here to talk about the Farmville murders. Like we're not, that's not what the episode was about at all. Like,
I feel like
it was a very personal story. Yeah. You got to tell. I was actually really excited. In fact, we didn't even get to the bad stuff until the last, I don't know, half hour or something.
Yeah.
Most of it was filled with your positive experiences and your friendship and how you met her and all the kind of stuff. And so that was really cool to get to hear those stories.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, was it difficult at any? Did you have any trouble with anything throughout the episode?
No, because that's why I wanted to add in there at the end about the whole like time heals all wounds kind of thing. Because it's like I don't think I could have talked about it 10 years ago. But
too soon.
No, it's just so much time passes, and I'm just at that age where it's important to tell these stories while I'm here.
While you're here, like while you're on the earth.
Because dude, like you said, dude, tomorrow is not guaranteed.
No, you never know. I mean, yeah, you might text me next week for the show and then have to find out the hard way that you don't have a co-host anymore.
I'm like, he hasn't posted shit on his Instagram.
Well, that wouldn't be unusual. Like I haven't actually, since I moved here, I haven't really had time to post any like photos, like do any photography or anything like that. So I've been dead in the water on Instagram for months now.
Are you excited to get back to that though?
Yeah, I am excited. It's probably going to take me, because I got to get this office set up to actually do that. So it's going to take some time to get to that point, but hopefully before the end of this year, I'll be doing that again.
Something that makes me feel like terrible is like horrible, terrible. Is that I saw a news article this week about fucking Instagram Reels.
Why? What's going on with that?
Well, for the DuFour brand, we have that one clip that's like 20,000 views on the Reels.
20,000. That's crazy.
Like no shit. And I saw it said something about how Instagram Reels is literally dying, and they're probably going to be ending it soon.
What? Oh, well, actually, why is it dying though? Like I watch Instagram Reels from time to time.
Do you?
Well,
why? Do you have TikTok?
Well, usually it's because I'm watching them on the Facebook app, and then I click something and it says, "Oh, this is actually on the Instagram app," and then I have to click that over, and then I'm watching stuff on Instagram. Wait, so they're saying Reels is dying potentially? It's not doing well?
Yeah. The article I was reading, because TikTok is blowing up.
Yeah, well, TikTok is huge.
See, here's the thing though. Can we just fucking disconnect Twitter? Can we just get rid of Twitter?
Well, Twitter, I've been disconnected from Twitter for a long time. I don't find it very useful at all. I think Twitter is great. Like if you have a following, like the celebrities and the politicians, they love it because they got their followings there. But for someone like me, what the fuck am I going to do on Twitter?
I think even Elon Musk was like, hey, show me the report of how many of these accounts are bots. Dude, yeah. I think that the majority of Twitter is bots.
Oh, I don't doubt that one bit. G-Rod says, I wish Twitter would go away.
Fuck Twitter, G-Rod. Glenn?
I think Twitter is a negative place. Well, really all social media is, I guess. But at least TikTok has fun. You know, you watch fun videos and stuff like that. But Twitter just feels like a lot of negativity.
Now, are you on wrestling TikTok? No, I'm sorry, wrestling Twitter?
I follow some wrestlers on Twitter. I still have a Twitter. I actually recently opened it back up. I actually really did, for a period of like a year and a half, deleted my Twitter account. Didn't have one. But I recently opened one up and do follow like wrestlers and some wrestling news and that kind of stuff.
I don't know if this is the same shit you're seeing, but about once to 20 times a week on wrestling Twitter, somebody's having a breakdown of some kind.
Like from someone in the business, you mean?
Yes, like a mental breakdown. And they're like,
oh, that's, yeah, like somebody getting attacked from comments and stuff. Like, I can't take this. All these, like,
the bots are going to end up killing somebody.
Yeah, but honestly, it's not all the bots. It's not all bots. There's some real sons of bitches out there. Like, there's some real assholes out there that are just out to get people and just don't give a shit. They're miserable in their own lives and they want to spread that spread the misery.
Man, fuck Twitter.
But there's like divas. Well, they're not divas anymore. Wow, that's a old term. Wrestling women's wrestlers that they get like picked on and stuff like that, like comments, hate comments, like, oh, you gain weight, like all kinds of stupid stuff you would never say to somebody in real life, but yet these keyboard warriors have the balls to say online. It's just crazy.
Did you see who the number one wrestler for PWI is?
Yeah, it was Roman Reigns, right?
It's your fucking guy.
I like Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
I do. Head of the table. I'm into that gimmick.
I
was actually surprised CM Punk was number 3. But then I remembered that it was because of June. It was the time frame was June to June, so June 2021 to June 2022. So he got injured, like I think after that, or right around that.
We literally just went through the summer of Punk.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think of CM Punk's AEW run thus far? The injuries aside.
Can we just talk about what's happening right fucking now
with the Elite and the media scrum and all that stuff?
Dude, like, okay, AEW losing Cody Rhodes, that's a fucking blow right there. But losing CM Punk at this stage of the game?
By the way, G-Rod, I mean, this is if you want to join us for this after show, I mean, it's just an after show, so it's not even a real show. If you just wanted to join us, I can send you an invite. Just
let them on.
Let me know in the comments, and then I'll copy the link and send it off to you, and you could join us for a 3-way. Menage a trois. But because I know G-Rod has a lot of comments. He's big into AEW, and he actually watches it a lot more than I do, because I kind of just watch it from a distance.
Well, what they should have done was because they put all this emphasis on CM Punk, and I totally get it. He's pushing merch. Ticket sales have gone up because of Punk. Ratings have gotten better more consistently because of Punk. You can give a lot of the glory to CM Punk, but Bryan Danielson, they should have fucking, I don't know. The booking is just so goddamn trash. Bryan Danielson should have been the AEW champion before Punk did.
He was red hot. Right when he was coming back and he was like going on his initial run, he was red hot, and the fans, I think, were ready for it. I think they were ready for Bryan to be champion. And I think that was right before Hangman Page beat Omega for the title. But I think that Tony had this long-term plan that Page needed to be the champion. I really think that they should have put that plan on hold and just went with Bryan, because that was his run. I think he was red hot. Page really had kind of died off a little bit. He wasn't as hot. Like they weren't doing a lot with Page for a while. They drug out that like alcoholic, storyline for a while of him just coming out drinking his alcohol or whatever, which was amusing. I'm not saying that wasn't like good stuff, but I just wish that they had gone, with some different direction.
Now, if Punk is out, do you think that because the AEW video game, it's not out yet. Punk's on the fucking cover.
He's the main dude.
Who would they put on the cover?
I don't think there's enough time if it comes out in December, I mean, I guess you could change it. It depends on if they've printed the boxes already. But I don't know. Like that's such a complicated thing.
Just fucking put John Silver on the shit.
Let me ask you this question. If you're Tony Khan and all this shit went down, you're sitting there and CM Punk is trashing everyone on your roster, several of the guys at least. What would you do? What do you as Tony Khan do?
Well, is Tony Khan that fucking deaf? Is he that stupid? Did he not see this coming?
I mean, he should have. I mean, I don't know. He should have. He lets all these guys speak their mind and shoot promos. I mean, eventually somebody's going to get their feelings hurt.
Well, he's probably also the guy who's sitting in the back here because he's like, there's a lot of drama going on right now.
This is good for the business.
This is going to be good for the business. And then he loses 3 EVPs and Punk.
I don't think those guys should be EVPs. I think it's bad to have wrestlers being in management as well.
Well, one thing that I've really enjoyed is since all this has happened, even a little bit before that, they're like, hey, guys, we have to remember Jon Moxley's here. Jon Moxley, he's the man. Like, I couldn't fucking stand Dean Ambrose.
I didn't, but I like Jon Moxley. I mean,
and
Dean
now
Ambrose
Jon Moxley is sober. Great.
You don't like John?
and he's doing this fucking shitty GCW shows.
Oh, is he still doing those?
He's like their champion, I think, and he's like, and like on wrestling Twitter, they're showing videos of like fans that are like grabbing a hold of John Moxley at GCW shows and stuff, and like people getting uncomfortably close. And people are like, oh, this is the guy who makes millions of dollars with AEW. Look at him in this fucking bingo hall. Look at how uncomfortable he looks. And I'm just like, if you're going to market John Moxley as being like this dirty outlaw guy, then he's showing up at the dirty outlaw wrestling companies. He's this hardcore extremist guy, the modern day ECW guy. Like, I just fucking hate him.
Yeah. That's, Glenn said he's, oh yeah, you can click enter anytime if you're watching. Anytime you're ready.
Brawl out.
He's texting me. That's why you don't see it.
Okay.
He said, I'm coming in. I'm here. Let me know when I can enter. Yeah.
Can I take a whiz and then we'll bring him in?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, just then you taking me off. You taking me off the camera showed this. So like I had the perfect view. You could see like my perfect background, and then you take that off, and you see my junk. You dick.
Thank God we're in the after show.
Yeah, really. How embarrassing. Yeah, I guess my background isn't as perfect as it seems at the moment. Yeah, I got some lights behind me. I guess I'll show you. I got some lights behind me, and yeah, you can see. We just moved into this house a couple months ago, so I haven't even had my office set up. So I got some detops in the back that have yet to be set up properly with some of my collectible things, and then random boxes over here, and there's boxes even off camera as well. So but yeah, we're waiting on Travis DuFour to get back. Thank you very much for your comment. Oh hey.
What's going on?
What's up, man?
Talking some wrestling.
Wrestling.
What's going on, Travis? How you doing?
Good, man. It's been a long time since I've seen your face.
Same. Great episode, by the way. I remember.
The thanks is all. The pleasure is all mine. I'm just kidding. It's Travis.
No, I just fucking. I don't even know what to say about that. I watched a whole bunch of podcasts about that like a year ago.
Oh, you knew about that?
Yeah, and I think Mike told me that you knew her and you were going to do a show about it, and I'm like, fuck. I can't even imagine, man. So my thoughts are always with you on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. Like
sometimes I underestimate like how worldwide that case went. And and I'm not even gonna lie. I think because I knew Melanie. I think that she'd think that that's pretty fucking not like cool or anything, but I think that she'd definitely be intrigued by how fucking many people care about this case.
Yeah. It's a crazy story. I don't know if you were caught at the beginning when we were doing like a pre-show, but a close family friend of mine was tragically murdered in 2018 too. So like it's pretty crazy to know someone. Like for me, for the longest time, and I'm sure it's a lot of people like that are like this, that you just go through life and you don't have that experience of knowing somebody. You watch true crime and you see all these stories like, oh my God, that's crazy. I can't believe that happened. But then when you know somebody it happened to, it's shocking. Like it, and even to this day, 4+ years later, it still doesn't feel real that he's gone. And I'm sure it probably still feels the same with Melanie, that you just can't believe that happened. It doesn't even seem real. Like, how could that happen?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's like you try to remember what their laugh sounds like, especially like if you've never gotten them on video or anything like that. Like whenever you're such good friends with somebody, you know what their laugh would sound like at a party or if they walked into a room and like you just heard them. I think it's important to remember stuff like that.
Yeah. But Glenn, I know you watch AEW,
Yeah.
and you're the big fan. You're a bigger fan than I am for sure, and that's why I always fuck with you. I just honestly, anytime I see a negative post or a tweet or a comment about AEW, I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta send this to Glenn. Like it's just funny as hell because I don't believe that stuff. Like I don't want AEW to go away. I love AEW. I'm glad there's an alternative, but there's definitely some things that I would wish they would do differently. I would say I don't think what they do is perfect, and I hope you don't think what they do is perfect either. Everything at least.
Do you think that Time Warner's going to get rid of them?
I don't think so. I think they're the way that Discovery is their merger, and like the way they think, from what I hear, is like they see AEW as a reality show for some reason, and it's always usually number one on their day for Dynamite. At least Rampage is another story, but
that is true. Usually they are number one for their day.
And ever since this drama started, which is ridiculous in its own right, their ratings have gone back up. They posted their highest rating last night. I think maybe top 3 shows that they and they just put out a what do you call
that's
it?
That's without CM Punk or the Elite.
Yeah, we got to give some credit to MJF. He's the fucking guy now.
Yeah, he's amazing. And they stayed steady throughout the whole damn show in 1 million. Like 1 million viewers are over, which is like the first time that's happened since I can't even remember.
So why do you think that's happening? Do you think the people are really into the tournament, or is it a lot more than that? Like,
I think it's the tournament. I think it's that they're kind of resetting everything. And it's starting to feel like a cohesive show again. I know that they started doing a lot more video packages last night, which is incredible because they should have been doing that from the beginning. And that's one of the things I don't like that they didn't do.
I agree. I love a good video package, honestly. I do.
It sets the story, and that's a story. And I think the pacing of the show was amazing too last night. They started with Moxley and Guevara. And Guevara wasn't like really goofy. He was like kind of serious about what this opportunity. And then they ended with Jericho and Danielson, which was an awesome match. So we'll see what happens next week. They should post another good rating, and
hopefully even better. Yeah, maybe
hopefully
even better.
Well, what's really putting over AEW, I think for the most of the people, is their women's division.
Dude, I love Britt Baker. I don't know if you said that as a joke. I actually love Britt Baker.
What the fuck happened to Riho? When is she going to become a prominent thing again?
She's been gone a bit, hasn't she?
It's a mixture of what do you call it, visa issues and being sick and injured. And a lot of those girls are injured, which is unfortunate. But
who's the other Asian woman that was really prominent at first?
Sheeta. She was in that fatal 4-way match at All Out. So
okay.
She's good.
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say, do you guys like Jade Cargill?
I think Jade Cargill is number 1 woman in wrestling right now.
She's definitely presented that way.
She's the fucking modern day Goldberg. She's who Wardlow wishes he was.
The presentation says it all. It's just she's awesome, and she's only going to get better as this goes on. So I'm actually quite surprised that they didn't beat her at All Out with Athena, which would have been a good person. But I think they're going to wait for Starlander or Statlander to come back for that.
If I had to make a bet on who beats Jade Cargill, I'm going to say motherfucking Paige.
Huh, that's actually a good thought. I like that. If she's all cleared and ready to go, why not? Why not?
Wait, Paige, WWE Paige?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would be cool if she came back. I think it's pretty shitty how she finished her career like that.
Well, if Tony Khan gave me a call today and he's like, all right, I'm just going to let you pick one person to just kind of throw a curveball into everything. Who's beating Jade Cargill? I'd say, all right, get Molly Holly's phone number and let's get ready for that next run.
So you didn't like when I brought up Britt Baker. You don't like Britt Baker? DMD?
No.
What?
No. She just comes across as somebody who's playing like a top fucking performer. Like she's playing. I don't believe her.
That's a fair comment, I guess. But I gotta say, I love Britt Baker. I don't know what it is about her. I just like her.
I
Maybe
would
it's
have
'cause she's
rather
hot.
seen Allie the bunny. I would have rather seen her in that fucking position.
You know what pissed me off? I hated the name the Bunny. The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. I just didn't like the Bunny. I just thought that was stupid. Like, why?
I think my biggest disappointment with AEW is probably Evil Uno and the Dark Order altogether.
Well, it wouldn't have been a disappointment had, Brody Lee not died. That selfish son of a bitch.
It's just such a shame that the pandemic era is what that's when we saw the best of fucking Luke Harper.
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't like him as Brody Lee?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't watch.
Are you expecting me to sit here being a fucking lifelong wrestling fan and watch this shit with no crowd? No thanks.
Yeah, there was definitely weeks where it was tough. Yeah.
Definitely. And then WWE's like, hey, hey, we're going to put 10,000 screens in the crowd. How about that? I was like, fuck yourself.
Hey, that was better. Honestly, that was a kind of a genius idea.
Yeah, until people were fucking putting up like Nazi signs and fucking putting up beheadings and shit. Like I was like,
naked women and
Chris Benoit pictures.
Chris Benoit would pop up every week.
God bless. Wrestling does have some of the most trolls.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about Twitter. Like that's all it is. Wrestling Twitter is the cesspool of Twitter. It's the worst of the worst. And when I used to do Rant with Ant and all the wrestling podcasts before, it's what made me leave. It was part of the reason why I left, is because I just couldn't deal with the assholes on there. And like usually I like let stuff roll off my back, but shit, man, like those people are evil.
So do you think the Elite, Omega and the Bucks, they come back? Are they going to be in this trios title picture again whenever they do come back, whether it's a month from now, 3 months from now?
I mean,
or are they going to be? Are they going to stay out of the title pictures for a little while?
I think they should be built back up. I mean, they're the Elite. I mean, everyone likes them, but like at the same time, it's like build them back up, let them, I guess, pay their dues again for the shit that's going down. Which is, I still can't believe that it went down the way it did. They're grown men acting like fucking children.
Yeah,
pay their dues again, though, dude. Because literally, Kenny came back, and then it re-elevated everything. And the Bucks, I feel like the Bucks were just trying to stay relevant, And Kenny comes back, and then it's like, okay, now you fucking have something. But dude, if you're telling me that they have to go back down and reclimb the ladder, you're gonna fucking you might as well just disband them.
I mean, that's trio. True. Disband them as a trio, you mean?
Disband them, have Kenny fucking go. I don't know what you would do at that point. They'd eventually just go to WWE.
Do you think that both of you guys, this is a question for both, should these guys be, I know it's kind of just a title at this point. I don't know how much control they actually have, but do you think that they should still have that title? Like, should they be wrestlers on the show every week and also be EVPs? What's your call?
Go ahead, G-Rod.
I think they lost a lot of their power when they first started. When they first started that first like couple months, I feel like once Tony really started taking over, it got better. And I think that's because they lost some of their power booking and putting stuff together. I mean, with Cody, the Cody stuff too was just so out there in its own realm that I couldn't really get behind a lot of it. And then I don't know what the Bucks or Kenny were doing booking wise, but whatever was done when the word came out that some of their powers taken away, it got better. I don't know if that's like a perception thing or it actually did get better. I don't really know, but I just know it was better from what I saw. So yeah. Take it away. Let them focus on wrestling. If they want to help out with the boys and the girls in the back, let them, because they've been around the block. But at the same time, it's like just like
because you could still help and not be an EVP.
Yeah, and I mean, if they get a nice, support system back there, and people to start running the business the way, sky's the limit. Don't let the boys run the the circus, as they say.
What would have been really nice is that, and this is just fucking fantasy booking hindsight kind of shit. If they would have done this 80s style, if Tony Khan would have done this 80s style and been like, hey, all right, we're bringing in the Bucks, we're bringing in Kenny, Cody, all EVPs, but we're going to sign a non-disclosure. And you guys aren't going to fucking tell anybody that you're the EVP. Let me run the shit. Let me just pretend like I'm just consulting you guys all the time. And we're not going to fucking let people know your title. Because why do you need that title? Like, I get that you're the reason why AEW started. This thing that Cody and all these guys thought of. That's the reason why AEW fucking proved themselves, and that's how they got started. But I think that, putting that title on those guys, I don't think that was a good idea from the jump.
Kind of puts their target on the back from people in the back too. Like, do I got to kiss their ass now? Are they my boss?
They might not even have agreed to do AEW if Tony didn't let them have that title, though.
That's possible.
I mean, you gotta think back to, like, CM Punk was Tony's first pick to go pitch this company to. Then he went to the Bucks and Cody. They flip-flop back and forth, and Cody really wanted to go back to WWE and try to bring them with him. And then eventually they all just said, let's just do this new company. And that's from the Young Bucks biography that I read.
Oh, they actually said that in there. Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ups and downs, but like, the company got made, and then they start flaunting the EVP stuff on being the elite. Like the first episode after announcing the company, they're like, oh, we're executive vice presidents, and they were all making jokes about it. And like, now looking back, it's like, not a good idea.
Yeah, not in good taste.
I'm telling you, whenever like I told you this, Mike, whenever Cody fucking took himself out of the title picture, that's me personally.
That was a mistake.
The fan side of me started uninvesting because I was like, Cody's my guy.
Well, when they did that, I was like, oh, well, for sure Cody's going to win this match. There's no way that he's just never going to challenge for the title. That's crazy. Like, but sure enough, fucker loses the match. I couldn't believe it.
But I'm glad that they've all went on record as saying that was a bad idea.
Yeah, for sure. So does CM Punk return at some point, 8 months, whatever, down the line after he's all healed up? Or is he going to be gone?
No, I think he comes back. I don't see them cutting loose one of the biggest stars ever, and cooler heads will prevail. I feel like in this situation. First of all, that press conference shouldn't have went off the way it did. I don't understand how it did. I can understand, Tony wanting to, let him say it and we'll deal with it afterwards. Because if I try to stop him, right, he might come after me and there might be shit happening worse in front of on camera. It's
like, fuck you, Tony. Fuck you.
Like, he could have literally opened up and it would have been worse, in my opinion. Like, the way it happened sucked, but if it was going to happen, I think this is probably the best way of letting it happen. Just let him talk, let him say his shit, apologize for it, discipline, all that good stuff. I think the injury is a blessing in disguise, to be honest. I think
it couldn't have happened at a better time especially after that media scrum.
What is the fucking injury though?
A pec, right? Torn pec?
I think something like that when he did a tope or something like that in the match. He did something to his, like, I don't know. He was holding his elbow the whole time. I don't know if he was just selling it or he was actually injured, but then the 8-month injury time. So
wow. First he fucking jumps the railing, smashes his foot. He's like, God damn, I'm off to a bad start. This isn't going to happen again, though.
He's like, okay, second title. I'm going to do this time. And again.
But one thing I do like about Twitter is that there is a Twitter user on there who's been posting like really good AEW botch compilations. And man, they have a lot of shitty talent. There's a lot of people almost getting fucking paralyzed in AEW.
Some close calls.
Yeah, I mean, there was one the other day I saw that was, I don't know who it was, but looked like some some new guy that they just signed like off of the Indies, just someone that like is a prove it contract or whatever, and it was just horrible. I don't know why they picked him up.
I'm honestly surprised Ricky Starks is fucking wrestling after seeing his neck break.
His neck broke?
He fucking landed. I don't even remember what it was, but he got fucked up.
Yeah, he was gone for a while. Yeah.
He got fucked up in AEW?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Wow. Cody was still around. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what's the Billy Gunn's kids? What's their new title? Fuck my ass or something like that? Or who is it?
Scissor me, daddy.
Yeah, scissor me, daddy. What?
Dude,
I can't. I'm not going with it. I don't like
dude,
it.
I laugh my ass off. I'm sorry, I do. It's funny.
It's over.
It's so fucking crazy. It's so wrestling, honestly. Like it just.
Here's what I will say. I wrestled on a show with Max Caster in like 2017, and he was like fresh out of school, and man, he had these earphones on, looks just like G-Rod's without the mic though. And he didn't talk to anybody in the locker room. He stuck to himself. And then he had a hell of a match, and he's a fucking Max Caster's kind of a bigger guy in person. But that always rubbed me the wrong way. Like, why didn't he like chit chat with anybody, or like he didn't even really introduce himself to that many people? But then I started having flashbacks of like 2014. I was on a shit ton of shows with Leo Rush and Patrick Clark, and those guys, anytime I was in a locker room with them, it was like 3 times. They didn't say shit to nobody, didn't mingle with nobody. And I was like, is that the way to make it to AEW or WWE? Do you have to fucking act like a king shit in any locker room that you're in? I hate that.
I thought the custom was that you have to, or that you at least should go around and shake everyone's hand.
That's how it used to be back in my day, brother.
Wrestling's just not wrestling no more. Hey, I don't even know if this is true, but I read somewhere on a dirt sheet, I guess, that Kenny Omega, when they had like a talent meeting a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, however long ago it was, several weeks back, he made a comment that I wouldn't have hired 80% of you guys or something like that. Is that true that he said that? Like, is there truth to that?
So if you're going to go by reliable sources, I find it all funny and weird, this dirt sheet thing. But if you're going to go by sources and like the best of the best, minus Meltzer, because he hasn't said anything about it. Sean Ross Sapp said
I knew you were going to say Sean Ross Sapp.
Hasn't heard anything about that. And where it came from apparently was a secondhand source who wasn't in the meeting that heard from someone in the meeting that he said that. So take that as you will.
Okay.
I mean, I know from what I've heard about Kenny, he's not like that, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not his friend. So,
because from what I understand, he was just trying to save a dog during that melee or whatever they call it. That fight, he was just trying to save CM Punk's dog. He was just running to save the dog. I don't know. That's the story. And I love all the memes. They're just like, oh, Kenny's just in there trying to save a dog. What a sweetheart.
I don't know.
Nobody knows the real story that happened there, though.
So are you guys going to get the AEW video game?
Hell yeah, I am.
I probably will, yeah.
This is going to be the first wrestling video game I've bought in probably 14 years.
You haven't played any of the recent WWE games?
The 2K games, man. Like I've played it at a friend's house, and whenever I realized that like the kick out system wasn't mashing buttons, I was like, I'm never buying this.
Yeah,
like game after game, from my understanding, that's the kick out system.
Was it 2020 that was the really bad game that they had to actually take a full year after that? And they actually didn't make a 2021 game because the 2020 game was so bad.
It was horrible. It was the worst.
I didn't play it, but I heard it was bad.
The 2K games are like Madden. It's the same.
Did you have it, Glenn, the 2020?
I bought it on the cheap for PC. I had an idea for an eFed, but it didn't come to fruition.
Is it as bad as they say?
Oh, it was glitching all over the place. It like crashed like all the time. So I have a $20 game just sitting on my computer.
Crazy.
Now, one thing that I really don't like about all the hype about any like new wrestling video game, and especially the AEW video game, the one thing I don't fucking like is that there's so much emphasis on them being like, oh, it's going to be kind of like the N64's No Mercy. It's going to be kind of like the N64's fucking WrestleMania. I'm like, in my opinion, those games kind of suck. And I understand they're number one on a fucking million people's list, but my game was like, Here Comes the Pain. That was
Shut Your Mouth and Here Comes the Pain. Remind.
Yes. And it's like, make a game like that. And it might have even been Shut Your Mouth. One of those games where you could just walk around in the locker room and there was like fucking hardcore Holly just standing there. You could walk up and talk to him. He's either going to be your partner or he's going to try to fucking fight you right there. Mm-hmm. It's like, I love that.
It was
that's the kind of wrestling game I'd like.
The SmackDown games, the SVR games were really good too. I miss the days where you can create a wrestler and pick your own theme song when you were able to like upload your own music to your whatever console you had.
They don't let you do that anymore.
No, the MCA, all that stuff.
It's so stupid.
I know.
They don't let you have any fun anymore. All kinds of stupid rules.
Yep.
You know, we should bring back the wrestling burnout.
Dude, I have friends who I used to do shows with. I feel left out that they still do them. I quit because I just couldn't handle it anymore. But when I sit down and really think about it, talking about wrestling every week, I love it. Wrestling has been in my DNA for years just as a fan. You know, I can't do it. It's just hard. It's just not fun. It's literally like you have to dissect it as like a critic, and I hate it.
What I wish, Travis? Well, what I would do wrestling related now, I would never do a weekly like if I had to watch today's Raw, today's SmackDown, all that shit, I'm not doing it. But if I could find somebody who wanted to like review old pay-per-views, I would do that.
That'd be cool. But you wouldn't do anything like I agree that I don't want to do like a recap. Like, well, okay, well then Sheamus wrestled, whoever he's wrestling. I don't want to do like a recap show. But what I wouldn't mind doing is a pro wrestling news and rumors show where you just talk about just the main bullet points of the week, whatever big stuff is going on, and that's it. No match by match shit. Neither of you guys would ever do that?
No.
No. I don't see. There's been this idea, and I'm not sure if anyone has ever tried it, but like you see on sports TV, like there's these panel shows where they just fucking yell at each other about like stupid quarterback shit that no one really cares about, but it draws ratings and it draws a fan base, so people love that. I'm surprised that hasn't happened with wrestling yet. I think WWE tried it with like JBL and someone else like Rosenberg or whatever, but it didn't work out for them. Because I think it was kayfabe, but like if you get like I don't know, you put Dave Meltzer in there with like a second-rate podcast host and they're yelling at each other, it'd be great. I would watch that.
Conrad Thompson.
Jeez.
Well, chat me up about this.
How are you?
Hey, how are you?
No, man, I want to hear Conrad Thompson and fucking Marty Garner, brother.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm gonna cherish this last 30 minutes then, because this the last 30 minutes that we just had, because it was technically an episode of the Wrestling Burnout.
There you go.
Well, this is essentially going to be a preview of the Burnout Media episode. Glenn, are you going to be on for that one?
If you guys will have me, I'll be there.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. Hopefully that's much later in the season, because we'll send out an email to as many people as we can, all the people that we want to hear from at least, and try to get them to record like a video of themselves saying something, a little message or something.
That'll be a really fun episode.
Yeah. I really think so.
We have to record a brand new episode of Dynasty Elementary.
Oh my God. That's funny. We should
old one, and
we should pick a few prank calls that are airable, because most of them aren't anymore, because you just couldn't get away with the shit we were doing. But we should pick like one or two prank calls and play them, short ones. I'm sure there's one or two funny ones that would still fly in 2022.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Whenever you sent me, so Mike has a Dropbox. He has a lot of our old content on it, and I've went through it a couple times, and a lot of it's not good.
Yeah, there's one in particular of me. I don't know. There's actually a recording of it where what am I doing? Seducing somebody, or I don't even know what the context is. Some prank.
You called Jessica Simpson's fucking agent one time and was asking her all kinds of creep shit.
Oh, I did.
Wow.
She'll be full nudity, right?
Dude, we had no fucking limits.
No filter. That's what it was like back then.
Yeah, now you got to be very PC.
It's funny because like Mike sent me a couple episodes of The Fix, and I don't know how I took all that shit from Joey Nick. Like, if it was now, I'd punch that dude right. And if I don't talk to him anymore, God bless him, whatever he's doing. But
he was kind of a dick.
He was an asshole, and he was always like that. And he was like off camera and off mic or whatever. He was like that too. At that point, I always took it as a joke, but like he would do it on air, and I'm like, he's really undermining me right now, and I should have said something back then. So when I listen back to it now, it's like, now I would have never let that happen. Definitely not. But some of the stuff that we used to do on that show was just, I miss doing that kind of thing.
You were the one who brought the shoot in, right?
Yes.
And the Marty Garner stuff. Dude, yeah. I feel like such a jackass now about it, but like I remember specifically like texting probably Travis behind the scenes as the show was going on, like the show's so fucking stupid. Like I just being so stupid, like being such a moron about the show. I don't even know what my issue was with the shoot.
Well, whenever the shoot came in, their first episode on your network was like their anniversary show, or it was some kind of milestone show, and they already had viewership. They had a base, and we really didn't. But we told them that we did, and we were like, "Oh, you're going to be fucking on a whole nother level whenever you come here," and they brought. I think they did a handful of episodes for us, and then they left.
Well, they didn't just leave. I kind of chased. My memory is I kind of chased them away. Is that how it went down, Glenn?
I think so.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it was the whole. I think there was maybe a little bit about the numbers, but maybe it was like, I know the co-host, I think his name was Alan, was like on the phone the whole time. That was his thing.
Didn't like the phone thing. Yeah, he was using a phone and not a microphone. That would piss me off to no end.
And we would have like flashbacks of Blog Talk Radio, and we're not Blog Talk Radio.
Exactly.
Get a fucking microphone.
Cool. That's where I got the shoot from, was Blog Talk, so it kind of made sense. I still talk to Gary. He's doing his own thing. He makes YouTube content now, and I'm always asking if you want to put a word in and see what he has to say about Burnout Media.
Honestly, dude, I would love that for him to say whatever. Let him shoot. Go if he doesn't like Burnout Media, whatever. Let him say what he's got to say. I remember like their last episode, or maybe I don't know if it was the last one. One of the episodes, like I was like, I'm just gonna pull him off the air right now, right in the middle of the show. Like did that actually happen, or am I misremembering it? Does that sound familiar to either of you?
I think that's how it happened. No, I know. Like they went off there, and then I think Mike, you fired them on air. I think that's exactly how it happened.
What an unprofessional piece of shit I was. Jesus.
What do you think, Mike, is the most unprofessional thing we ever did? There's a lot.
I mean, yeah. How do you fucking rank them? I mean, Jesus. I mean, that has to rank up there. Being a dick to the shoot like that, there was no reason for me to be like that. Even if Alan was on the phone, which is still annoying to this day, I guess. But
you calling me in the middle of the night saying that we were going to get sued. It's like, that's pretty unprofessional if you're getting sued.
You needed to be you needed to be notified, because we were all going. If I was going down, everyone was going down. I think you were the director of marketing and advertising.
I felt like the most unprofessional thing you did to the team was like 3 weeks in a row, you had me just go to the Google AdSense and click the fucking advertisement for what? A penny a day?
I never got that money either. Never.
And you had to make like a certain amount to cash out.
Yeah, we never made enough to cash out, so it was a waste of time.
They're like, they could see your IP address. You fucking do it once an hour. And there I was, just doing it.
Probably that phone sex with that phone sex prank call was a very unprofessional and very. I can't even listen to it. I have it on my computer and I cannot listen to it, nor will I ever listen to it. I know that I went farther than I should have ever gone for that, and I never want to listen to it.
Jorge Chavez, whatever.
I would probably, Jorge Chavez. Oh yeah, Jorge Chavez. That's exactly what. Yeah. I think I was like pretending to be a girl or something for a while and like having phone sex with somebody, and then like after dragging it out forever, I finally am like, oh, we're actually live on the air, late nights on the mic, blah blah blah.
20 fucking minutes.
But it was a long clip. I dragged it out for a while, like longer than I should. Like, I remember I did listen back to it several years back, and I was like, wow, I really went a little too far with this.
I think you took a break, Mike, and I think G-Rod was around, but I think since you were taking a break, but I wasn't, and I think I was doing my Justin TV thing, and but I was still having you come on to my show and do this character where you were kind of talking like this, and you want to be the co-host.
Yeah, I want to be the co-host.
That was my favorite
Chuck Weasley. Was that his name? Chuck Weasley.
Yeah, Chuck Weasley.
Chuck Weasley.
My favorite thing that we did, and I don't want to go into it because that's just a whole episode you guys are going to do about it, but the end of the world episode that Mike, Joey, Nick, and I did one random weekday. There was like something about the particle collider in Switzerland was supposed to like turn on for the first time, and it was supposed to like suck Earth through
create a black hole or something
like that. And we played all this like really sad music, and it was
and we talked about like it was like the end of times. Basically, we're like, well, this could be the end, and
this could be the last episode we ever do. Yeah, it was that dire. That was fun. That was a fun one.
We did shows for fucking years, and then out of nowhere, G-Rod says, "Oh, I got a fucking guest for the fix. This is going to be fucking game changing. Her name's Cara Faye Charnow." And then boom, day of the show, G-Rod can't do it. So
no, I don't think that's how it went down. I think there was more drama than that. I don't think it was you can't do it. Didn't some drama happen where I'm just like,
quit?
No, what happened? Do you remember what happened, Glenn?
I just know I wasn't there for it. I just know that it didn't happen with me.
But it was your show. Travis hosted your show, didn't he?
Yes, it was the fix.
Yeah,
just me.
I think there was some type of drama that happened. I don't know, maybe between Glenn and I have no idea. I don't really remember. It's kind of a blur, but
it might have happened that way. I just know that I remember how excited I was because Shiny Toy Guns, and then like heard the other band First Out and whatever. And then I don't know how I remember that name, but I was so excited, and yeah, I wasn't there for it, and just like, what the hell? Well, I don't know what happened.
Do we have the Cara Faye Charnow interview?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Good.
I just remember Mike sounding like a total fanboy after the show was over and everything. He fucking gets off the producer mode, hops on the mic. He's like, "Dude, we fucking had like 30 listeners at one point."
Dude, we had more than that. I remember we had close to 50 listeners. And we had back-to-back calls. So many calls that I couldn't even keep up with the calls. And I had never experienced it. It was just like an orgasm of radio.
We did like 3 years of the Blaylock effect with one listener, maybe two. And then Mike gets that little taste of 50 fucking listeners back to back.
And then we were done after that. Did we even do anything after that interview? I think it was pretty soon after that. We just stopped.
Very soon after that, we were done.
Which you think that would have been the motivation? Like, guys, we could fucking do this. But no, it wasn't.
Yeah, and dude, I was fucking trying too. Like, I had Nick Hippa from As I Lay Dying on my
I remember you
show.
booked some guests. Yeah, a lot of.
I was just emailing people, hoping. Yeah, and I was like, and Nick Hippa, like, dude, literally, we called Nick Hippa. We told him the time that the interview was going to start. We called him, and his mom answered and was like, "Yeah, he's still fucking sleeping. I don't know if I should wake him up." I'm like, "Well, this is a radio station. Like, we're supposed to interview him."
He's scheduled for an interview right now, so wake his ass up.
And he woke up half awake, and I had that fucking co-host Matt Burns, and like a good chunk of the interview with Nick Hippa was my fucking co-host telling him how to beat some level on Zelda or some shit. And I was like, dude, this fucking interview is blowing so bad.
Just where do you think we could have been had, let's say, the Care of HR Now interview went great and all, and we didn't stop, and we were still going today? Where would we be?
I think good things.
Have you ever thought about that timeline, that alternate timeline?
Yeah.
I think it would have been good.
And then do you remember so I think some time had passed, either months or a year or whatever. And then it was January 1st, was it 2009 or 2010? I forget what year it was, but we were bringing back Burnout Media. I had hyped it up. I created a graphic for it. We were doing a reunion show to bring us back. And didn't that never even happen?
I even have posts at the end of 2011 of graphics and stuff and everything that we were going to be coming back, and we never did.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was the year before I went to LA. We were doing a whole bunch of stuff. We were doing a rebuild basically, and yeah, I remember that. And like the day came, I woke up early too for that day, and we were supposed to be online with like back catalog stuff to kind of get everyone psyched. Nothing, zero. But to go back to what you were saying about where would we be, I don't say this lightly. I think we were ahead of our time.
I agree 100%. Dude, we were doing shit at that time.
Mike,
go ahead.
You had a big team. You had a lot of people on your fucking staff at one point.
We even had people under it. Like, what do they call? We call them the street team, I think, or something like that. The Burnout Media street team, or
I think so. Like that Brandon Blaze kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there was actually some fans that were like real supporters, and like, it just makes me think, like, what the fuck? I mean, I wish I hadn't been so young and dumb. Like, if I had been smart enough to understand and see the opportunity that was before us, like, man, what could have been?
I think the most excited I ever was whenever you were sending me pictures of office space and shit in Youngstown, and you were like, dude, I think this might happen. I was so excited.
I actually have the money to do it. I mean, not right now because things are tight, but like I could actually pull something off like that in the future if I wanted to. Office space.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy how time goes by and you think about that kind of thing. And like you see how everyone is doing what we were doing.
Dude, it's now mainstream. Like what we were doing was just like kind of more niche, but now like everybody has a podcast and everybody's doing video shows.
We could have been fucking what culture?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Justin TV turned into Twitch. We could have been like one of the first people on Twitch, and it's crazy to think. I mean, I don't regret anything that's happened since then, but like it's crazy to look back at that. And I know Mike and I had conversations when I stayed with him in Chicago. We were talking about it all the time. Like, where would we be right now? What would be different? What would be happening? Like, it's interesting.
I know you said no regret. People say don't have any regrets, but I'm going to say it. Burnout Media, letting it die. That's my regret. If I had to pick one regret.
We were like family at one point. Every fucking day. Like from
hours
the beginning we wake up. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had no lives. This Burnout Media was our life.
I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
It was a good time. It's sad that that's over. I wish I could set my clock back and go back to those times and just.
Well, honestly, the Travis DuFour show probably wouldn't have been a thing if we wouldn't have had this big chunk of our history doing this.
Yeah. Would you ever even have the energy to do anything like that ever again?
I feel like I'm doing it now to the best of my ability.
But what I mean is like, yeah, you're doing it kind of alone. Like, yeah, I'm your co-host, but like you're doing the planning and advertising kind of alone. I meant like, could we do it? Could we ever do it as a group ever again?
We would have to do some rebranding. We'd have to drop the Travis DuFour show name. We'd have to give it
well, why do we have to drop that? Why couldn't your show stay?
if you guys are okay, if you guys were okay with that, then I can't think of anybody else. A threesome. I can't think of any other threesome of putting my name behind that I would trust.
What
you know
about,
what I mean?
Yeah. And Glenn, what about you? Do you ever, are those days long and gone and in your past, or could you ever see yourself? And I'm not saying that, yes, we're starting it tomorrow. No, yet January 24th, January 1st. But I'm saying if the stars aligned, could you see yourself doing something similar again?
I remember those days like it was like yesterday, and I loved it, every minute of it. No matter what the drama was, I look back at it fondly. And the only other time I ever had a taste like that was when I was doing the Wrestle Attic and went into Rant with It, but it wasn't the same, it really wasn't the same. So and we talked about it in Chicago, like I would do it in a heartbeat, I would definitely do it in a heartbeat with what I know. I know it's a different game these days because everyone's doing it, but we just did it for fun. Just like what Travis was saying about doing his show. It's like leaving something for, people that know you to like look back on. And it's just like, it's all about fun. It's all about doing it and just talking and having a good time. And that's all it always should be about.
Well, with all the different marketing avenues there are, like social media, it's a whole different ball game. So like advertising, I'm not going to say easy, but advertising is a lot simpler nowadays. Like there's so many different avenues. You could make TikToks and make Instagram reels or whatever, Facebook reels. There's just so many different things that you can do to draw attention to yourself that weren't available to us then.
I feel like we have like a better understanding of like algorithms and stuff too, because it's like you don't know what's gonna catch. I mean, shit can blow up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something I thought about off and on for sure. But going back to what you said about the Travis DuFour thing, I like it as would you ever? It wouldn't be burnout media because I don't like the word burnout. Burnout has a negative meaning. But if there was an umbrella company, whatever that is, would you ever do something like that again with the Travis DuFour show being a show as a part of a network, and we actually have a network of shows?
Yeah. I would like that a lot actually, because it's like that takes the pressure. There's still pressure on me, but that takes some of the pressure off because it's a fucking team. Plus, one of my favorite Twitch personalities is this guy named Penguin Swarm. But it's him. He streams the game Friday the 13th. But then at night, there's this other girl who streams Friday the 13th. And whenever he's not streaming, she's talking about his stream. It's like, hey, and a lot of the same people are watching her play. And then apparently there's like 3 other streamers who are doing different games, but they're all advertising each other. And they have like an umbrella, like, hey, we're all part of the Stream Raiders or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we had something like that, I think that'd be fucking really cool. And dude, Mike, originally that is what I was going to do. I was supposed to have the Travis DuFour show. Then I was going to have a fantasy booking show. And I think there was even one other one that I was pondering.
I think you were talking about doing some type of wrestling one, I thought, or at least
possibly.
No? Yeah. Burnout Media. Do you remember we even had like we had intros, like we had that professional intro for the wrestling Burnout that I had done at Clear Channel Radio. We had different stuff that CB Rocker put together for us, like the whatever you call them, zingers or station IDs.
I think that it's really great to have talent, but to have a producer like what we had in you, Mike, who was fucking there monitoring things, and you were the webmaster, and like just having all these pieces was so fucking important.
And we were pretty efficient about it. Like I would send you messages, and I was actually even at one point towards the end, once we really got like technologically advanced, I was able to talk to you guys through the microphone without it getting across on the broadcast, which might have been distracting at times. But like if I had to say something important and you guys weren't paying attention to the chat, I could say caller. Like
yeah.
like let you know without being heard. So I just thought we did a lot of cool things then that were, like G-Rod said, totally ahead of its time. Yeah.
It was unbelievable how, like, just thinking back about it, like, just telling people, when I did Pot of Horror and stuff, and I always would, like, kind of give a history of, like, what I would, doing. Like, I started out with The Fix, and then I met you guys on Blog Talk Radio, and then you brought my show over, and then we were, like, just off to the races, and it was incredible time in my life and our lives that I always look back on fondly, like, all the time. I love it,
man. Again. Good memories.
I don't even remember why because I know that I hit up you, G-Rod, and I was like, hey, I'm an independent wrestler. I'm trying to, like, get on shows to, like, do interviews and stuff like that. Would you have me on your show? I think that's how that went. I
think you guys called our show at first, and then we all got, because I had my friend Lauren, who I streamed with, my friend Sammy, we were a threesome there, and you called in. I think at first you guys were joking around and stuff, but then we all started talking, and, like, it worked out. And then you messaged me, and then we started talking about it, and next thing you know, we're on the front page of Blog Talk Radio with your picture. So
yeah. Oh man, it's so disappointing that Blog Talk Radio, like, deactivated a shit ton of their old episodes.
Yeah, all that stuff's gone, right?
You have to pay premium to get them back. I did it for 1 month, and then I canceled. It was like $10, something like that.
Oh, they're still there, just behind a paywall.
Just behind a paywall. So basically, you pay for storage is basically what it is. I was able to download every Local Fix episode that I had on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's badass.
And those are a trip to listen to, for sure.
Yeah.
I actually really dug our Dynasty Elementary episode.
Dude, whenever we were getting, like, creative with stuff like that, because with the Blaylock Effect, I interviewed Simon from the Chipmunks and Alvin, and then we did the Dynasty Elementary. Like, whenever we were doing extra shit like that, if you do shit like that now, that shit would catch on.
Yeah. Yeah, because not everybody was on social media, glued to their phones like they are now.
Yep.
Now everyone's looking for content.
And things like Dynasty Elementary, like audio dramas like that, are, like, big now. I even thought about writing a horror one. Like, that was something that I've been wanting to do. And
that would be cool.
I have friends who I have a friend who composes music for his wife's true crime podcast, and they're killing it. And they're about to write a movie and make a movie. And it's like all this stuff leads into other things, and it all starts with that one idea,
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we all have a little bit of interest, at the very least. So it's getting late here. I'm sure everybody's got their own thing to do.
Yeah.
I gotta go eat a late dinner. But
me too.
Everything we discussed, it's food for thought. Let's ponder on it some more and not jump to make any decisions, but let's definitely keep it in our heads as far as a possibility.
Yeah, and anybody who listens to this episode and then ventures into the after show, they'll be like, "Oh, I think that they're planning something here."
Yeah, we should definitely save this one as in case we ever do. We're like, this is the call. This is the after show that started it all.
Oh my God, we have the soundbite.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for joining us. I want to say G-Rod. I was going to say Glenn all at the same time. I'll see you later, G-Rod.
It's nice catching up with you, G-Rod.
For sure, man. For sure. Stay in touch, all right?